nation, destroys our generation. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. Looking for inspiration in my life. Looking for inspiration all the time. Looking for, looking for, looking for, looking for. Hey!
Good evening, folks. Sorry about the little bit of delay there, a little bit of a hiccup. It's hitching to get along just as far as uptimers and all that jazz. I just want to make sure that was good to go. That's before I brought it over. Okay, so I think we're good. Yeah, so welcome everybody as far as for another rendition of Spline Design Studios Saturday. We're going to be continuing 6th episode so far as our scratch build track for the NASCAR Racing 2003 season simulation. Been playing around a little bit with how to manipulate the LiDAR. Razor James coming in. 8 months. Is that 3 months? 3 months. Good grief. Holy crap. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for that subscriber there. James kind of sneaking up on there. You dirty devil, you. Anyway, yeah, glad to have... I had to play around with the alerts there a little bit too, so that's good to know, I guess, that that's still working. Yeah, I had to... That's good to know. Thank you, James. Appreciate this. Always a pleasure having you in stream here. I'm glad to have you. But yeah, as I was saying, been playing around a little bit is, you know, as far as what different methods as far as manipulating the LiDAR. Okay, be it the fact that here, let me bring this over. I got this loaded up. Be it the fact that the amount of points, you know, as far as the detail that was available in this particular LiDAR, and I've taken the approach of just chunking out enough, I guess, to get it in Sandbox, I guess, as a model. This is probably not the best approach to take with it, to be 100% honest. And part of that reasoning is it's, you know, number one is it's not a very clean model doing it this way. So what have played around with, and I kind of went over this a little bit last week, was to use the LiDAR data in Max as a guide or template for creating a more low poly version of that cloud point data, because theoretically the only thing you really need to have, and this applies primarily to building a track for NASCAR Racing 2003 season, is the elevation like for the racing surface itself. Be it other elevations, and this will vary. I guess I speak primarily, I guess, just for tracks of this nature, as far as like a, you know, standard oval, in this case of being a roval. But the main data, the height data that you need for these types of builds would be just the outside oval. Okay, all this other data, it's useful, but you can chunk those out individually as far as creating those structures. But as far as getting the racing surface, as far as the area that it's used during racing, be it pit road and what have you, you really only need to have that minimal amount of elevation data. You're not going to be able to get, in this case, especially for NR 2003, you're not going to get all of the height data as far as the bumps and the little nuances and such that exist in the LiDAR. It's you could probably do that if you wanted to, but the bottom line is you want to be able to create some type of a model that's a little bit more usable amongst several other applications, be it not only NR 2003, but also other simulations, like say Wreckfest or Assetto Corsa, things of that nature, those types of places that can be modded. But even, even with that being said, it's like you could create enough detailed of a model where it's still relatively low poly, but there's not so much data that's, chunking up all the resources, I guess, to get it to load, I guess, into simulations of that nature. Because even with simulations like Wreckfest and whatever, you cannot use, even with this one, as far as the point data that's in here, you can't use that. There's no way to port that entirely into a simulation like that. So there's still need to create information based off that LiDAR into a model that can be ported or transferred, I guess, over into simulations like that. So, John Van Zami, hello, how are we doing? Welcome to the stream. How is that? Hope the overtime isn't kicking your butt. I know we've talked off stream, I guess, as far as you've been working the overtimes. So, yeah, hopefully that's. I'm just noticing too. This is something that I was kind of worried about. The tags that Twitch uses now, as far as what's going on with the stream, I had them all selected. As far as initially getting set up there, but they weren't populated. I just now noticed, as far as monitoring the stream, I guess on the Twitch channel, that they're now there. So I don't know if those viewers that are watching saw those initially. I know on my end, they weren't shown right away. So as far as setting it up on my dashboard, it was like it wasn't showing. So I was a little worried about that it wasn't going to show up like. But the other thing I do notice, I tend to get really particular, I guess, about things going on, I guess, with stream stuff. So, okay. Thank you, John Van Zambe. Thank you very much, I guess, for that. Yeah, it wasn't showing up on my end, and I wasn't sure if it was just a problem on my end. I did notice, like, for example, if you choose, they used to have the creative, if you choose the makers and crafting option automatically, as far as, like, under the games that you would primarily select, I guess, as far as what you're streaming, it automatically puts in two tags, which is IRL and creative. And it doesn't necessarily allow you to take those out. So I'm kind of learning these out there. I don't know if that's something that Twitch is going to keep or if this is something they're trying out. But yeah, that's just something I wanted to mention out there. So I'm hoping the right information, I guess, are getting out there as far as that goes. Something else that I've noticed, with that subscriber you just did for me, that resub there, James, I guess, with that, it's not showing up for me in my little tool here. I'm going to adjust that just really quick. I want to see if I've got the wrong. That should be showing in there. I don't know why it's not. I had to adjust some things with stream overlays, I guess, a little bit, and I'm just noticing that now. So let me see if I can't fix it. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. If it doesn't work, then that's something I'll have to deal with later. But just bear with me a moment. And I don't know why that's not showing. That should be set up on the correct one. Okay. I haven't streamed in so long, it took me a minute to even realize that Oh, yes. There's a lot of things. I think it's a good thing, to be honest. I think Twitch has done quite a bit, and they're still doing quite a bit, I guess, as far as to hone in, I guess, on the creative aspects. As far as like, no matter if you're doing some cooking, if you're doing what I'm doing here with the 3D modeling, any type of crafting that's outside of playing actual games, Twitch is trying to, harness, get to, to make it easier, I guess, as far as browsing for those types of things that you're looking for on Twitch. So it's like it's a good thing. I don't think it's terrible. I think I haven't had a problem with this. The only problem I've had with it so far is, when they're adjusting things. That's what I noticed. Trying to get the stream set up this evening was it's like, okay, where are my tags? It's like I'm setting it up in my dashboard and it wasn't showing up on the channel. So it's like, but yeah, I am noticing they are there now. So it's yeah. Okay, let me see if I can change this really quick. I don't know why that's not adjusting here, so let me go to this, go to my stream labels. That's bothered me. I don't like that. I don't like, it does show me in my dashboard for my stream labels as far as the subscriber there, but I don't know. Let me see if I can rerun this. There's the rescribery.
3 months.
Just rerunning that there. I want to see if it'll populate, and it's not doing that. You dirty rat. Let me restart session. Let me do this really quick. Oh, you dirty son of a gun. Alright, let me see if I can navigate to... That's going to bug me, so I'm going to try and fix that, I guess. I'm trying not to spend too much time on it. But just give me a minute. Give me a minute. It did requeue there. So I know that at least that label is working. So let me just bring this over here. You don't need to see that. Alright, so... session. I'm just going to go ahead and update this manually because... Oh, I know why. Son of a biscuit. Okay, so there's a separate one for recent subscriber and resubscribers. Son of a biscuit, anyway. Okay. I got you. But the fact that it's not even showing up in there, what's up with that? Hold on, folks. I don't like that. That bothers me that it didn't populate in there. I'll get it fixed. But I won't I won't bore everybody, I guess, with those details right now. We got other things to attend to. So, yeah. But the fact that it's not showing up in my most recent subscriber there, it is apparent that they do show up separately. So I'll have to try to figure out. It shows it's updated for... I don't understand why it's not showing. That's crazy. Anyway, I'll try to get over it. I'll get over it. Hopefully that's okay as far as yeah, because it doesn't even show in the event list either. But okay, I'll have to see what's going on with that. There's apparently two different stream labels has what are called Streamlabs, I should say, has stream labels. So what happens is you can adjust, it's just in the form of a text file, and you can put that information wherever you want on your stream. And I have that little area there as far as the Mosher and the Mosh number. The Mosh number obviously did adjust because it was at 2, but it did not put the most recent. I think I got it set up for most recent subscriber, but there's a separate one for resubscriber. So yeah, I'm going to figure out what's going on with that. I'll try not to. Anyway, that's moving on. What I was getting into discussing was what to do, how to manipulate your low poly model that conforms more or less to the LiDAR data, the point cloud. And we've already, I've already gone over the fact that this is a relatively low density scan. Being just under, it was either just over 2 million points or just under 3 million. which is a very low scan for the most part. I haven't seen any point cloud data, I guess, lower than that. I mean, it might be, within, a few 100,000 or so, but this is the lowest one that I've come across so far, as far as being right around 2 million, in between 2 and 3 million points. And there's a lot of data in here, but as you get into the more dense scans, you're going to find it necessary to have to do this, as far as creating a low poly model based on that LiDAR, because in order to get that into any simulation directly is next to impossible. It can't be done, and that's been proven more times than not. And so I'm just putting that out there as a public service announcement, as far as like that. If you're looking to get point cloud data, directly from the LiDAR into your simulation, good luck, because that's not going to work. It will not work. And if you've got a supercomputer, that's probably fair mention. If you've got next to NASA computer, I guess, with ridiculously powerful processing power, yeah, that might be possible. But for the most part, that's. But yeah, playing around with. I know I'm getting off topic here a little bit. Being able to manipulate, and as you can kind of loosely see, as far as my modifier lister, this is basically just a spline, and Spline Design Studios, a spline of the actual LiDAR, and it was, just tracing the outside edge of the original LiDAR, and then just creating an editable poly as well as a surface modifier to apply an actual surface. So if I turn, let's see if I can turn the actual, hello? There we go. So if I hide this, you can see the actual lower poly model of that LiDAR. And that's basically all this. Now, some of the things that I've, played around with, and it's still, being tweaked on as far as the processes of how to do this. So you have enough data, elevation data, but to be able to manipulate it enough so that it's true to, as close to 1-to-1 to the LiDAR as possible. I guess if that makes sense. So one of the things that I have tried applying as a modifier is, and I forget what it stands for, but it's the FFD, and basically that's just a mesh. And what it does, and there's all these different ones. The box, the 4x4x4, and such like that. Which building was that there, John Von? I know it's been some time. I was working on a building. I know I've done a lot of things in these Spline Design Studios sessions. So you might have to be a little bit more specific. Primarily what I've been doing in these this is now the 7th episode, I should say. I just did the 6th episode last week. It might be what you might be thinking of, John Von. I think the last time you had joined in on the stream, I know it's been a minute or two, as far as I was creating a building, I think it was for Chicago, and it's a new IKEA store or warehouse that they have just outside the track. That was a relatively very simple model. That might be, that's the last thing I can think of that I streamed as far as doing a building, I guess, during the stream. Yeah, and that's I still have that right there, and that was, I try to keep that as a lot of this information. I try to make it so it's condensed in as much as layman terms as possible. It's just it's hard not to just go on and on and on, because there's many different ways that you can approach trying to create something that's otherwise pretty simplistic. The bottom line is, regardless of what type of simulation you're trying to put it in, you can necessarily apply too much of a good thing. And just like I said with the point cloud data, as much as you'd want to be able to put all that, as much of that information, even directly into the simulation that you're trying to create it for, um, you shouldn't necessarily take that approach. That you have to keep in mind or whatever as far as having to tone it down some or whatever to make it usable in even the most mediocre of computer systems. Because like I said, to get that any type of rendering, as far as point cloud into even like the most beefiest of systems that people would have like that, it won't work. It's impossible. I mean, even to render some of the low density scans like I have here, my system struggles even with that. And I've got a pretty old system, but it's like, it doesn't crash on me or anything like that. But it's pretty, it strains a little bit. So this is why I'm doing these streams, to kind of give a little bit of insight of, how you can actually use that data more effectively and efficiently, and still have something. So even as you look at this, the way this is presented here, you can still see that this is, knowing anything, I guess, about how tracks are built, be it in NASCAR or what have you, you can get, a pretty good sense of what this represents, even with as low poly as this is. Now, I could necessarily use this as it, but there's still some adjustment needs to be made to this. And I guess this is what I've been trying to explain here as far as all these different modifiers. One of the things I have tried playing around with is what's called an FFD. And there's different types of, as far as, I'll just fly this one for a second. So you got all these different control points, and selecting these different control points, whoops, I just selected off of that. So like if I go into this, yeah, so I can select these different control points, and if I set it on this end, and I can move these around as such. And you can move all these control points like this to manipulate. What I haven't been able to figure out yet is how to get, kind of like a custom FFD. This is something I haven't played around with, but you can see how that manipulates that. Based on these standard control points, you can see how it moves it in, up and down, and such like that. It's kind of like makes it like a spider web type of thing. So, yeah, it's just to this point, it's just kind of coming up with a reasonable way to be able to. Another way that I kind of showed this a little bit last week, is to let me see if I can go all the way back, get this out of here. There we go. Alright, so another way you can do this, oh, I thought I got it all the way out. Just a second. Alright, let me just see if I can delete that. I'm trying not to bear with me a second. I just want to take that out. There we go. Another way you can do it, and like I said, I kind of showed this a little bit last week, is you can select a model, and let's bring back the LiDAR information, actually. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. Alright, now I gotta bring those both back. Alright, so we got the LiDAR and our low poly spline. One of the other things you can do, and yeah, see, I didn't save that. I was trying to I did it in this area because this is kind of one big poly right here. Let me see if I can go, oops, into polygons here. So if I can select these individual polys, you can see this is a pretty big poly all by itself. So if I wanted to split this in order to conform, I guess, a little bit better, I guess, to this LiDAR data, as you can see, it's some of this is sunk in and some of it's not. So to get this a little bit more leveled out, you could necessarily cut this from this edit poly. For example, there's a cut here, and I can turn on edge snaps and just snap this to this edge. Okay, hold on a second. Let me turn that off. I'm getting ahead of myself. What you want to keep in mind when you use a snap, anything that's in the scene, that's visible in the scene, it's going to try to snap to it. So if I take this out and say I want to cut it, like right here, like I said, going into poly, you get this cut where'd it go? Actually, I think I can just do it right from the edit poly modifier. Yes. So just from the edit poly modifier, I can go into the cut here and then snap this. Let me put the snaps on. See, then that turns yellow. So like if I wanted to cut this, and by doing this, you can get somewhat resplicing. And I've tried this with Swift loops as well. And be it the fact that I've already, at this point, I've already tried to, I just, right clicked on that, I guess, to get out of it. And then I can toggle that off. So now I've made a cut here. So now what I have is I've broken that poly up. So it gives me a little bit more adjustability. Now, this is that would be a little bit more tedious of a process doing it that way. But it does give you a little bit of precision. It's like I said, if I could, doing a little bit more playing around with this, I could probably come up with a way with that, with the FFD, to restrict it or what have you, I guess, to just the edge of the spline, say for example, instead of out in Never Never Land here, and be able to adjust those a little bit more effectively like that. I haven't. I've just briefly touched on as far as how to be able to do that. What I've come to find that works for me up to this point so far, and it is kind of tedious, is to do these cuts as such here. So like I could put another one in here, for example. Just go to the edit poly rollout, put a cut here, and then let's put this edge snaps. And when I got that under just the edge snaps, gives me that little precision cursor here. Okay, so then I can snap this as such, and you don't need to be concerned necessarily because you can move these verts. I have tried the Swift loop, James. I think, in fact, I know the fact that I've got it already on an angle. That's where I came to find that it was a bit not so beneficial, I guess you could say, for lack of a better way to put it, because it's already, now if it was flat, yes, as far as like when I initially made the initial spline and created the surface modifier and what have you, the Swift loop works pretty good. But in fact, I could probably, I wonder if I went ahead and actually showed that. Yeah, so I think with the Swift loop, what it basically, and you kind of touched on into that, you've got that that little video tutorial, I guess, on that. Depending on the shape of what it is you're trying to Swift loop, and I can kind of show that, I guess, a little bit. Let me see if I think I got that set up. I'm trying to remember what that was under. It was I think I did it as a trying to remember. So if I go into, let me go into here really quick. So if I go user interface, yeah. So if you go into this little tool, oh, what the heck's going on there? Might be using too much. Hello. What is up with that? Interesting. Anyway. Yeah, I think I'm already taxed out. See, and this goes to show you as far as how taxing this is. And in fact, I've got a 16 gig of RAM. I think I'm already taxed out, I guess, as far as, getting particular functions to work. And okay, there we go. Got that back up there. So, if you go into here and remind me again, James, I'm trying to remember, I guess, your tutorial there, because you can set up hotkeys here. I think if you just select in here and I can do a Swift loop. Yeah, see, I don't have this set up yet. So basically all I did was I just selected any one of these actions in this customized user interface. And this right here, you have, if you type in, just start typing in there as far as Swift loop, you'll get to Swift loop. And what you have the option of doing here, I'm kind of just touch basing, I guess, on what James has got out there as far as the Swift loop tutorial as far as how to set this up. But yeah, you've got it here, and you can set it up as a hotkey. And if I remember right, James, I think you've got it as a Shift S. Yes, Shift S is a hotkey, and you can set it up to whatever you like, but you necessarily want to use a hotkey, you know, as far as your keystrokes, that isn't used by any other function. And Shift S or whatever is pretty much available. So if I set this up as a hotkey for Shift S, it'll set that up there, and I can just do assign, and then just go ahead and save that. Oh, I don't have to save it. Yeah, that should be all I have to do, and then just close it. See, that shortcut is already available, I guess, as far as the Swift loop. Now, what the Swift loop will do, and I'll kind of show this, so I can close that. Now that I have that hotkey set up there, I have this set, and I think that's all I should have to do is just, make sure that's off. And I think I'm going to turn the snaps off just to be, I think maybe it works better with the snaps. So if I do a Shift S, like so, and then just click on that. Hey, why is it not selecting? Okay, hold on. I don't think, I'm trying to remember now, James. What am I missing? So if I do the Shift S, I got it on snap. Let me turn the snaps off. I thought it was selecting the model. Hello? There we go. Shift S. Or was it, did you have to actually select the edges? Okay. That was just answering my own question. So yeah, you have to select what it is you want to Swift loop. So like for this, in this case, I want to do the edges. Now, it's not selecting the edges that I want though. Yeah, so I can go like this, and then do the Shift S. I think. Alright, I'm doing something wrong. Normally what I would do is it would give you like a, little cutting tool, so I'm not sure what let me try the poly. Do it this way. Why is this thing hesitating so bad? Holy smokes. Dropping some frames a little bit too. What the heck is going on here? Okay, hold on. It's kind of hesitating on me a little bit here, and I think it's because I got quite a bit loaded. Okay, hold on a second. So if I go poly, why is it not selecting that poly? Yeah, that's the thing too. Now, it shouldn't matter. Why is it not selecting this poly though? That's what's bothering me right now. What is going on with... Alright, hold on, folks. I'm trying to figure out why it's not selecting that poly. It should be... So if I go into here... There we go. I don't know what was up with that. It was kind of hanging up there a little bit. So anyway, yeah, what James was mentioning there, you can see how the polys are dark. That means the polys are flipped upside down. Because if I was to look at the underside of this here, it might be kind of hard to see. That would be the upside, I guess you could say. So I could flip these. In fact, let me do that. I'm gonna select all these polys like so. Just drag select these. The fact that they're all dark that means they're flipped upside down, so they're facing towards the ground plane. So what I'll do is I'll just flip these. Like so. Now I got them faced that way. So I don't know if that was why it was necessarily not wanting to give me the Swift loop. So I'll go ahead and select the poly and then do my Shift S. And I don't know why that's not giving me that option though. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing there. I have that selected. I'm doing something wrong. What am I missing? Did it not take? Let me check that. Make sure my hotkey actually saved there. That could be it too. Let me type in Swift loop. Yeah, it's still there. Shift. Yeah, Shift S. I don't know why that's not override active load. So do I just have to load that? No. It's there. I'm not sure why it's not selecting me. I'm doing something wrong, James. Not sure what I'm doing wrong there. But normally what you should be able to do if you have that hotkey set up, you should be able to select your poly and then just do the shift. Hold on. Shift S. And that should give you... Oh, there it is. It is there. Okay. Maybe I just wasn't seeing it. Yeah, so see, you get this little cutter. It's kind of like a little line here, and this allows you to cut. So depending on which edge you actually go to, so like this will switch horizontally like this. So you can see that going all the way across. So depending on which edge that it's closest to, it'll actually... So it's kind of like it just goes to the boundaries, I guess, of far as the edges that you have. So be it this way, either vertically or horizontally. And it's not doing anything as I move this around until I click the left mouse button. So what that's doing here, and this is something that, like I've already tried out there, it's kind of going all the way through the yeah, it's kind of hard to see from a distance, but it goes all the way through, all the way around the spline. And if you're just trying to do, to just split loop a particular area, it's probably not as beneficial. So you can kind of see here on, if you look towards the bottom left, you can see it's going all the way through the spline. So as far as only being able to do just a specific area, that's one of the problems that I kind of saw, I guess, with using the Swift Loop. Yeah. So yeah, the fact that the Swift Loop does work there. I think what it was there is I just wasn't zoomed in, because if you zoom in too far, it tends to want to go away a little bit. So you have to kind of move your mouse around to kind of see where it's at. But what you should be able to do as well, you can either right click out of it or just do the Shift S again, and it'll take it out. So you can either do Shift S or just right click out of it. So like I got this selected. Let's do the Shift S, and there it is. And I can either just Shift S again or just right click out of it, and that'll cancel it. So that is one of the things that I've found, playing around with the different methods to use, I guess, as far as manipulating the poly spline. If you only want, like I said, if you only wanted to adjust one particular area, I mean, I guess it wouldn't be a bad thing now that I think of it, because I could do vertical Swift loops and apply them that way as opposed to doing the cut. That could work as well. So like if I got this selected, let me actually do that. So if I do a Shift S, okay, went away at me again. Just a minute. Shift S. There we go. So yeah, that transform, it tends to go away as far as the little move gets. So if you wanted to, I guess, so you could do much the same as like your cut, and this would be more of a straight line. That's probably fair mention too, because when you do the cut like I was showing previously, you're not necessarily going to get a straight line. This will tend to keep it like 90 degrees, either vertical or horizontal. So like it'd be more of a straight line cut in either direction. So that's probably fair mention too. So yeah, I think it just all depends on what trajectory that you'd want to have that, either the cut that I did previously or the Swift Loop. So this will give you more of a straight. So if I did this, for example, now it's going automatically to edge after I cut that. I can select this here. I should be able to go into poly, and that you can see the two separate polys now where I cut it. So that's one way, I guess, to be able to do that as well. So yeah, that could be an option. Yeah. It wasn't really necessarily working for me like that when I was testing it, to be perfectly honest. So the fact that it is working like it is, it's kind of, yeah, playing a trick on me. So yeah, let me bring the, let me bring the LiDAR back here. So getting back to manipulating this part here. So like I can go to each individual. See, and you can see you can adjust it in this fashion, as far as to get it to line up a little bit more precisely with the LiDAR. See how it's sinking in there? Now, as you can tell there, it's just like if I wanted to get entirely, I guess, all that data in there as far as like how much of a crown or depression that's in this LiDAR from this point to that point, I could add another vert here, you know, to be a little bit more precise, I guess, to do that. And let me see if I can demonstrate that, I guess, a little bit to kind of show what I mean here. So like if I wanted to, I'm in verts, I can create a vert, okay, and then I can apply this edge snaps, and what it should do is it should snap it right there. I can right click out of that, so I'll put a vert right there using my edge snap, and then now I can adjust it this way. I ran into this problem before, so the fact that it's not on that actual edge, it might be, yeah, I had this problem last week too, where it's not 100% snap to that. I'm trying to remember what I did there. Yeah, so that vert is not on that edge. Definitely looks like it is, but it's not, because it would move. Yeah, see, it's just the vert itself that's trying to remember what I had to do there. Was it a weld? I think it might have been a weld. I'm just looking at my options. I think I had to weld it. Yeah. So if I weld it, no, that's still not right. What the heck did I have to do? I have to remember. I have to remind myself again. There's so many things that you can do with this type of stuff there. It's easy to lose sight of it sometimes. Somewhere on the edge rollouts is insert edge rollouts. Oh, so you'd have to use insert, not create. Is that what you're saying, James? Yeah, that's, I don't remember using it that way. Oh, yeah. See, I didn't use it that way. I just did a create. There was some way, and I'm trying to remember now how I did that. How I got it to snap to the actual edge there. I hate when I forget things like that. Oh, I thought for sure it was the weld. Maybe I had to adjust something in the actual parameters to it. Let's see here. Yeah, so that's not it. Nope. Yeah, that wasn't it there. So I'm trying to... oh, my goodness. Let me try this. I think it had to do with having this in here, as far as the LiDAR. Like I said earlier, as far as like anything that's in here, when you use the snaps, it'll try to snap to whatever's in the scene. So let me try this again. Let me see. So if I, yeah, see the vert is there. Dang it. Why does it keep doing that? That's weird. Keep kind of like jerking that when I do that left click on that deal there. So let me see. We're going to work through this. I know there's a way, and I'm trying to remember how. It wasn't the weld. Was it attach? Okay, vert, attach. Let me see here. Was that it? Nope. Okay. Oh man, it's bugging me. So I know it's not that hard. Attach plane. No, that's not what I want. Okay, so that's just, that allows you to attach to a particular element in there. That's not. I wonder why it doesn't have. Wow. Man, I hate when I get like this, when I can't remember where the freak that damn thing is. I know there's a way, but anyway, just to show you, there's a way to snap the vert, you know, to get the vert into that position so you can actually manipulate that. See, the way it is right now, it's just kind of floating. and that really does nothing to the line. So, oh my goodness, it's gonna drive me nuts. I know it's not that difficult. I'm just can't remember. Okay, maybe was it connect here? Try that. Nope. Oh my god, I know it was something simple like that. It was just either weld or connect or attach or something of that nature. I'm just trying to remember. I don't think it was a target weld. Let me see here. God, this is going to drive me nuts, because I cannot remember. I know there's a simple way. It drives me crazy, I guess, when you play with this stuff, I guess, off stream, and it's just, when you try to get it to work in during the stream, it just makes it look like an idiot. But trust me, it is relatively pretty simple. Just like that, as far as to, for now, I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. But you kind of get the idea as far as like being able to manipulate, and even just to have to create a lower poly model of the cloud point data. You kind of see somewhat the process. Maybe that's why I don't stream anymore. It could be. I know sometimes I tend to second guess it. It's just, you get to playing around with stuff and you get it to work. Off stream, when you go to try to demonstrate it, I guess in there, just like, no. Yeah. It gets frustrating sometimes that way. But the general idea out of all this, regardless of that being able to work, there's plenty of different options in this case 3D Max to manipulate that low poly version of the LiDAR and get that to match up to that. So that's probably more the approach you would want to take, definitely, as far as to bring that into whatever simulation that you're trying to get it into. It's gonna if you make the model as I'm trying to show it here, it'll be you can port that, I guess, within any simulation. I guess that's the bottom line. Since you cannot, it's impossible to use the cloud point data directly, and then whatever it is you're kind of trying to create in whatever simulation that it is. So we'll probably go into that a little bit more once we work out all the little fine details as far as being able to manipulate your LiDAR a little bit later. This is relatively a new process that James and I in particular have been working on, I guess, just to try and streamline it a bit, much like other processes that we've come up with as far as 3D modeling. So I wanted to show this, I guess, a little bit as far as what is necessary to do. The fact, like I said, as far as I took the approach in this case to get it down enough to get it into our sandbox utility for creating our geometry spline, and just chunked out, I guess, the areas to get it to force feed it, I guess, into here. And this will probably work. This is using the much of the point cloud data, in a much more direct fashion. The fact that we have all these little jagged edges, kind of like we took a dull pair of scissors to chunk this out. That kind of gives you an idea. But based on last week, what I did, I kind of showed, started to show the process of bringing that track geometry spline, as far as everything you need to get it into the simulation and get it to marry up with the actual LiDAR. You can kind of see in this area where I've already started to adjust that. And let me go ahead and unlock all geometry. That is what I primarily wanted to go over in this stream next to. It's going to be a continuing process as far as just showing what we've come up with as far as using that LiDAR data more efficiently and effectively. So yeah, the fact that I've in this build anyway, as far as using the LiDAR data, I've used, just chunking out. You can see all the jagged edges as far as cutting it out there, because there is a poly limit. And I think we came to the conclusion to create a model to at least get it in the sandbox and not necessarily into the simulation itself. It involves getting it down to at least 30,000 polys. That's what this chunked out LiDAR point cloud model represents, is right around 30,000 polys. That is the max that you can use the pass exporter for creating a model to bring it into sandbox, not the simulation itself. So that's something that we had like that. So if you're looking to do it that way, if you run into the same situation as this as far as using the LiDAR data correctly, that's what you would have to get it down to. So it's not wrong necessarily to use the LiDAR data directly as I'm doing it here. That's why I'm kind of still continuing to use it. It's just that it would behoove you, if you necessarily wanted to port that same information into other simulations, to create that lower poly model that would be much cleaner, kind of more professional, I guess you could say. I guess that's kind of what we always usually consider as far as taking some pride in our work, using much of the information that we have available to us to our advantage, and actually make something that looks more presentable, even if you don't necessarily share it publicly. Taking real life data and translating that into something that looks, something to be proud of, I guess you could say. I guess that's something that I take into consideration as far as when I create these types of things. So that should necessarily be the approach that anyone else that when I do this to do the same. I've kind of gotten lazy, and I'll be quick to admit the fact that I've got this already in place and I've been able to chunk it out, everything that I need to get it to where I need it to be, as far as to get the elevation where I need to, as far as in comparison to the LiDAR, this is good enough for me. So that's why I have necessarily gotten a little bit lazy. Man, I need to get a drink. Give me a second, folks. Oh crap, my cup is empty. Give me a second here, I'll be right back. Alright, apologize for that, folks. There, just ran out of tea in my mug there, and it's just like, oh man. I've been sipping on some honey lemon tea for quite some time. This time of year is always murder on my throat, and yeah, I deal with this almost every darn season. It stinks. So yeah, in fact, I've got myself some fresh mug of honey lemon tea, and just had to double check, I guess, on my I've got some chopped up dried eucalyptus in my warming pot. Kind of like lightly emanating, into the room here. So yeah, it helps on the sinuses as well. That's what she said. GD, I hope I get that right. GD Captain Canada, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Rock Nation. That's what she said. Yeah, that's funny. I'm not sure what you're insinuating there, John Von, but I'll leave that one alone. Anyway, yeah. So the fact that what I was discussing here is the information that I have available in this LiDAR here it gives me enough to go on to be able to adjust our X sections for our elevation for our track spline. And I've already started doing that as of last week. So tell Cosmin thanks for the follow. Oh, okay, so you coming over from Cosmin stream there, GD? Or is that Cosmin himself? I know Cosmin tends to go under a bunch of different aliases, so I don't want to get that. I don't want to necessarily get the welcomes wrong as far as like that. But thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you here. Cosmin is hosting. Well, good for Cosmin. Thank you, Cosmin. Did I miss the host? Oh my goodness. Did that host, I guess, while I was on the BRB? I apologize for that, if that's the case. So yeah, if those of you that are coming over from Cosmo Stream, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by as far as what we have going on here. So we got Killer Kobrak. Hope I'm saying that name correctly. Welcome. Yes, welcome everybody coming over from Cosmo Stream. I always forget to, I was running a little bit late today. I usually try to get... Killer Kobrak, welcome to the Rock Nation. I hope you enjoy it here. Yeah, I always enjoy, I guess, chiming in, I guess, on Cosmo Stream there. I was running extremely late today. I had lots of things going on here, dealing with all my sore throat and all this jazz, and it's just like I had all I could just to get ready for the normal 5 o'clock start time. So appreciate everybody coming over from Cosmo Stream. He's a very good dude. In fact, let me give him a little bit of a... For those of you that have not, that are in the stream that have not followed Cosmin, definitely do so. I'm going to go ahead and give him a little bit of a shout out here. If I can get my... There we go. So yeah, check out Cosmin's stream if you haven't necessarily checked him out. He does some creative things. Primarily, I guess he's been focusing on the NASCAR Racing 2003 simulation as well. A little bit into car modeling for the most part. I kind of tackle, I guess, a little bit more of the track construction. Be it this is a scratch build, I guess, of the Charlotte Roval in this case. And just to make it abundantly clear, I know I've mentioned this, and I know there's some newcomers in here that have not necessarily watched a lot of this process here, but making it abundantly clear whether or not this track sees it to full fruition as far as to be, a complete track, I guess, to use to implement into the simulation as a public release is highly unlikely. More or less what I was trying to convey, I guess, in this is like if you wanted to create something like this, basically starting from nothing and build it to something and just giving the basic information as far as the process of what's involved, I guess, in creating something of such nature. So whether, like I said, whether or not this will see it to fruition as far as to be a complete track to be used within the simulation as a Charlotte Roval is probably unlikely. But I know I don't have the intention to do it. I'm just trying to show the process as far as what's involved in creating something like this is all. So want to make that a little bit clear, at least. But hopefully you can get enough information from these streams, I guess, just to kind of understand how much effort it takes, I guess, in creating such things. Be it the fact that we're using this sandbox utility. It's a very, for lack of a better way to describe it, it's a very non-user friendly type of application, in that if you don't have the patience, number one, I guess, as far as dealing with something that isn't like, point and click type of thing, as far as like, yeah, I want to put this in here, boom, and it's done. It doesn't work that way. 100% does not work that way. And, but for for my benefit, I've got a lot of experience, as well as other viewers in the stream there, be it Racer James, whatever. We have a lot of experience in dealing with these types of programs, be it with Sandbox or even Max for that matter. And we're just sharing that information. And, if there's necessarily anything that the viewers in there have to share as well, as far as with their experiences with that, even questions, I guess, as far as what I'm necessarily doing here, feel free to ask. Yeah, definitely feel free to ask. There's no dumb questions. In fact, my philosophy has always been the only dumb questions are the ones that aren't asked. So if you find it necessarily to want to know, as far as like, further explanation, I guess, as far as what's going on in here, definitely feel free to ask. I don't take the liberty, I guess, of trying to point somebody out, I guess, as a dummy. It just not in my language, I guess. So what I initially was going over there, I know I keep getting sidetracked here, kind of a little bit of pun intended. I was showing how to manipulate. Last week we got to the point as far as getting our initial X sections applied here to define our different areas, and we have necessarily gotten to the point where we can define the outside our retaining wall, as well as our racing groove, and our innermost X section here, and how those work. Now that I say that, there probably is one more set of X sections that I would want to probably apply here, and that's to define between the apron and where the grass line starts in most cases here. So like, this is the edge of the apron, this would be the transition. Here's your racing groove, you can see the center line. And the fact that you'd probably want to have another X section in between where your transition to get on to the racing surface, as well as the apron. So that's probably what I'll apply first, and that'll be a pretty quick application. That's relatively pretty quick. It's not too long. So I'll probably do that before I start doing any more manipulation. Let me open up the height view here really quick, just to kind of give an idea. And I've gone over this several times too. When you initially try to select an X section, and I know I've got a little clip on this as well, and feel free to check those out too. I don't think that's come up in my chat bot here, so if you do, let me put this out here. SDSS1, I think I named it. Yeah, so there's a little bit of information there. You can type in exclamation point how 1, how 2, or how 3, and then it'll give you some clips of information, either using the Sandbox utility and or 3D Max. So feel free to use those, I guess, at your disposal. Yeah. So this is one of those things that I have somewhat described, explained and demonstrated, as far as when you unlock your geometry and you open Sandbox, whatever, and you try to select the next section. If you go into the height views initially as well, you won't see your interpolation as far as to be able to select that point. You can see where it's pointed to, but it doesn't show the actual. I'll just zoom in on this a little bit. But the way to get that to show up is either do your forward or backwards arrow keys on your keyboard, or your left and right. Your best bet is to use your forward and back, and then then it'll populate that interpolation. So like from this point, being in the height views, and I'm on this X section here, so this is right next to the wall. the outside wall. You can see that W section there a little bit. So if I go into the camera view, and let's bring up that height view. Okay, so let me see if I can get this into view here. This is sometimes a little bit. I always like to try and use this cutaway version. This is the side profile of the X section that you're trying to manipulate, and you want to zoom in as close as possible to be a little bit more precise. So if I set this up this way, you can see that move. That'll eventually move. So I just put the mouse point on that, and you can see that move. See how that's moving right here? And what it'll tell you in here, if you point on that here, it'll tell you how much bank, in this case bank at left and bank at right. The bank at left is probably going to be your more critical, and that was something that I tried to, for the Charlotte Motor Speedway, as this represents here. Let's see if I can bring this information over here. Let me put this in a new window. Yeah, so let me bring this over here. So what I started looking at necessarily was the information that we know to be true as far as the degrees of banking and what have you for the Charlotte Motor Speedway. So yeah, so what it says on here in the wiki is the banking in the oval has 24 degrees. Okay, now that's at the apex of the turn. And obviously NASCAR has their way of determining the dimensions of the track, based on particular points, be at the center of the track, from the apron, so on and so forth. I'm not going to go into all that. What we're all concerned with, for the most part, is the fact that these different degrees of banking that exist in specific parts of the track, so be it the banking on the oval has 24 degrees. Okay, so that's something that we can use to our advantage in applying this. So what we can necessarily do at this point, and I'll just demonstrate this. So if I put this at 24, and what you can get a sense of here is how close is that going to be to the LiDAR. So if I bring this up to roughly 24 degrees, and like I said, if you zoom in, you can get a lot more precise movement of this as opposed to being zoomed out. So it becomes a little bit easier, I guess, to bring it down. Alright, so that's a little over 24, 24.04. So that's roughly what Charlotte shows as on their website as far as what the degrees of banking would be. Now that's not hardly even close to the actual LiDAR yet, and I noticed this is kind of, and keeping in mind as well the information that I have in this LiDAR, that's actually where the wall is at. Okay, so that's probably fair to mention too. So if I go back to the 3D model here, what I've done with this, as far as the poly segmentation, as far as in the cloud compare, this outside edge here, actually let me get it to the LiDAR, show that a little bit more precisely. Let me hide this. So what this poly segmentation represents as far as this edge here is just the wall. So I've already, as far as creating the actual 3D model that I have in Sandbox, I've chunked out all these high points here. So this edge that exists that we're looking at here represents the outside wall. Okay, so hopefully that explains as far as what I mean there. What the heck? Oh, what did I do there? Oh, wait, hold on. Gotta get this back into slew mode. Kind of screwed it up there. Okay, so yeah. So the fact that this wall, you can see the amount of elevation is in here somewhat. That is 24 degrees, but the fact that this point here, as far as the way we've set this model up here, is already set to 0 on this end. So by bringing this up to the 24 degrees that says it's to be, for Charlotte Motor Speedway, and that does not meet with the actual LiDAR information, that's not enough. So it still needs to go up more. So, okay, so just for more clarification here, let me go to the apron, where the apron would be, as far as that X section, and I'll show that just a little closer. Let me see here. So, yeah, minimize that. So if I go back into Sandbox, and see, this is where, yeah, so this line I can select this here. So if I go into this one, go into the height view, and I'll need to kind of navigate this over here. So that I'm on this point, so here's the apron. So here's a little bit better representation. So here's all the banking that's applied. The banking on the right in this case is 24.04 degrees. Okay. So if I was to move this point up, I'll kind of show that in the camera view as well. So let's zoom in on this. Alright, let's go to camera. Okay. And then, yeah, move this up like this. You can see that moving. Here, let me move the camera here a little bit. Looks like it's over in this direction. Alright, so if I move this, you can see that's moving there. Now, whether or not that will require me, I guess, to do that. Yeah, you can see that popping through the actual LiDAR there. I may or may not have to do that. So, okay, just playing around with this so I can get an idea. So I don't want, and this is why it would be important, I guess, to put another X section available here so I can define that apron a little bit better, because I don't want all this elevation here. Because this is basically that innermost X section. You know, you would have an infield wall, say, around in this area. So the fact that you'd have all this elevation here, you probably don't want that. So as I do this as well, it's actually taking away the bank at right, or the bank at left, I should say. So that's another thing. You want to have more this orientation than this orientation. But the fact that looking at the LiDAR, I may necessarily have to do this and apply that additional X section, I guess, to adjust this down and what have you. So you kind of get the idea as far as you see that moving in the camera view. So I could go this route and then apply another X section to adjust it accordingly. But the fact that this is still pretty well off here, that kind of, yeah, so let me adjust this a little bit more, and you can select your points in here. I'm going to do left, so then we'll move it there. Left mouse, or the left keyboard key. So like if I move this up, alright, you can see how that's moving into there. So we're just going to get an idea of what we got here. Now, the other thing is, this is based, this point here is based on the actual surface, not the wall. Okay, so this is the, you know, based on the outside. This is, picture, if you will, that this edge, there was a wall, you know, on a vertical. So if there was a wall attached to this there, that's basically what that represents. The fact that it is, you know, kind of chopped up like it is, that's just a product of polysegmenting out in Cloud Compare. Okay, so that might not be 100% perfect, but it gives you somewhat of an idea. So like this point that I have here is probably the, you know, a pretty decent point to go by. So let me do some further adjustment here. So if I do this, go back into here, and I want to adjust this point. So okay, so that's starting to bleed in there. So you kind of get the idea of how you want to adjust this. Now, what I'm starting to realize, I guess, at this point is, okay, so the bank at left, if I look at this here, it's 22.4. Okay. Yep, and that's what I'd want. The bank at left is basically 22.4 from this point to this point. So that's what that's representing. So the bank at left, it's saying from this point left is 22.4. Okay, so I'd probably have to bring this one down. I'd have to probably play with these 2 points, I guess, just to kind of get it to that 24 degrees. Alright, so let's do that. Alright, so if I move this one up, I don't really want to move that one anymore, so let's go to the left. Let's adjust this one down. If I go back up to here, that's 24. Whoops, let's bring it back up. 22.7. See, so you get the idea too, like I was saying earlier. The more you zoom in, the more precise you can get with these points. The further zoomed out, it gets a little bit more difficult. Alright, so we're at 23.22. That's pretty decent. So let's bring this up just a tad more. Alright, we're getting closer. Nope, that's bringing it down. Oh, my bad. I'm going the wrong way. There's 24.21, so bring it up a little. Yep, so you kind of get the idea. Bring it down. Okay, that's 24.10 right there. Okay. Now, I could play around this a little bit more and kind of get it more onto 24 degrees. 24.11, so I kind of went the wrong way, okay. But the more you necessarily zoom in, the more precise you can get, so that was kind of a big adjustment there. But you know, like I said, you get kind of the idea. Alright, so let's do that. 23.92. Okay, so that's pretty close. That is pretty close. So this is what you would have. So again, going back into putting that X section in there, I guess, to define that a little bit more, so you don't have all this elevation here, and you might have to bring this up a tad, you know, to kind of smooth that out, so you don't have so much of a angle. But this would roughly be your 23, your 24 degrees as far as your transition, and that's matching up to the LiDAR. That's probably the other critical point. We're getting that matched up to the actual LiDAR. I'll be able to smooth out a lot of these other areas too. So like, let me keep it here. So from this point, now that I have a starting point, I can go to this one. Okay. Let's bring up that height view. I think smaller checkers on it. Yeah. That's what I'm coming to realize too. As far as probably a cleaner poly segment as well. You know, be it the fact that I did use directly from Cloud Compare. This is probably another reason you might want to create your own poly model, as opposed to trying to use the direct point cloud, because the poly segmentation that you do in Cloud Compare does necessarily translate into this. And I apologize for my voice there, but yeah, you kind of get the idea as far as all these gaps here. But I mean, it does at least give you quite a bit of, but what James is mentioning, as far as like if you had a smaller checker pattern on here, it might give you a little bit more preciseness as far as what's coming through. My biggest concern bringing this model in here was to see the actual, you know, having the texture onto the you know, the spline geometry to actually bleed through, I guess, that model. That was my main concern. I wasn't too concerned, but if you necessarily wanted to create, if you did create a model of the LiDAR and applied more of a miniature texture to that LiDAR model, yeah, it could probably help even more. So, you know, be it, like I said, this is a relatively preliminary process as far as how to get this to work to your advantage. Okay, so let's get back into this here. So if I wanted to, let me adjust this over. Okay, so now, alright, let me slide this over a little bit. I don't need to use this one yet. basically that's the roller coaster view. I like to use this view, and you can slide this around in the height view if you don't necessarily care to want to use that and get more of the profile view as far as the cutaway. Yeah, you can do it that way. So, okay. We're on that apron point. We already got this where it needs to be. This one has... Alright, hold on. Why do I have... Did I put one in there? Hold on a second. Why do I have 3 points instead of... Yeah, so there's 3 points there. So it's this one, this one, this one. Okay. Okay, hold on a second. Let me go back into the height view. So let me go back. Oops, I'm going to go forward. So here's our previous one. There we go. So we got those 3 points. So basically what you're trying to do at this point, and you don't have, this is something that's always bugged me, I guess, with the sandbox utility. You don't have the option to copy the properties, the X section properties from one segment to the next. So what you in turn have to do is adjust prepending and appending sections, I guess, to, so if I wanted the sections to line up, I guess, with this, what I just did, I'd have to transfer that. So I want this point to stay there, so I'd probably have to, whoops, just adjust this one up. Okay, so if I go to the right, I'd have to adjust this one up, like so, and get it roughly to the same. So if I show it like this, now the fact that this is not at 0, that's another issue. So that might be all I had to adjust there, so I'd have to move this down. Get that to 0, so that's at, okay. Yeah, so you can see the difference between the two. And that's pretty much all you'd have to do, is you have to get those to match. Now, to get it to be a nice smooth transition, I guess, coming off, like, say, the back stretch going into the turn, you know, this is where it becomes somewhat of an art, you know, to finesse that so that it's, you know, it does that more smooth, so you don't get like a huge bump, you know, as far as transitioning from one point to the next. And this is where it becomes somewhat tedious, actually. But you kind of get the idea, like I said, as far as if I show this again. So I'm in this previous, you know, I'm in the before the one I just initially adjusted. So if I go forward, you can see that difference now, as far as how that changes. So it's like, this is what I initially set up. If I go to backwards one segment, now I can see where I have that one. So you can see how that transitions. It's not, you know, it's pretty smooth. Okay, now if I look at the camera, let me bring that up. You can see how that translates. So you can see how that's, yeah, somewhat conforming too. And I'll probably have to make some minor adjustments, I guess, you know, to get it to match more precisely to the LiDAR model. Okay, so let me go back another one. Okay, so this one's all flat. So what I need to do is, I'm on this upper point, right? So if I go back one more, I need to bring that up. For starters, go forward. Okay. This point, let me go forward. This one is at 7.68. Bank on left. Alright, so if I go back here, put this one at 7.68. You can see that changing in the top left corner, I guess, of the... Okay, so if I put that there, if I go forward again, this one's at 23.28, that point. So if I go back, I put this at 20, you know, roughly 23. And this is where you want to play with your, how much transition. 23.28, so somewhere right about there. So if I go forward again, you can see how that's, that cutaway, you can see how that's transitioning. Okay, and probably fair mention when your points, like in this case here, if they don't match 100% from one segment to the next, it'll show the actual number. That's something that I've come to realize. So like the fact that I didn't move this at all, the only 2 points that I moved were these in this segment. Because I moved this one physically, it's not the same as this one. So if I go to this one, it's the one I initially set, it's going to show that number. So that means this does not match. It's either higher or lower than the next or the previous segment. So that's probably fair mention. That's what I've come to understand as far as how this. So the fact that, let me move this to the right, and I'm going to move this so that's more to 0. Alright, so let's see if I did that. There. So now they kind of match a little bit more. Okay, so that one's at 55, 49, and 57. So that's the... Yeah, so they're kind of off there a little bit. That kind of don't like that. But, again, you still kind of get the idea of... whoops. Using my wrong keys here, so yeah. So if I go forward, okay, that was the one I initially set. So going backwards, you can see how these, yeah, you can see how those transition now. Okay. And then compare that to the LiDAR as far as where we're at there. So you can see we might be a little high. We're probably a little bit high, so we'll probably have to adjust that down as far as the transition here. But you get, again, you kind of get the idea of how this works. I think we're a little bit high here, actually, because you can see where the edge of the LiDAR is there. We need to come down on that. So, again, this what this comes down to is how you transition that entrance into the corner where it has the most banking. Primarily in tracks of this nature, where you're going to find the most of your banking is going to be the apex of the corner, in most cases. So the fact that it's translating as it is right now, that makes sense, because you wouldn't have the entrance to your corner this high. It's going to be a gradual uphill to get to the apex. So what we'll have to do shows the importance of not removing too much LiDAR data. Yes. So, and if I understand what you meant by that, James, is don't be so the fact that you have this LiDAR information in here, and as long as you've set that in 3D Max as far as which point you want to be set at 0, don't be tempted to move the LiDAR to force it, I guess, to fit, if you will. So like the fact that you have the option, in this case I'm just going to show this just to prove that point. I got this in here as an object. If I selected this object and if I went ahead and physically moved that object to get it to match that, that's bad. You don't want to do that. So don't be tempted, I guess, to want to move that actual LiDAR information, because that's already set to where it needs to be in comparison to, like I said, you can set your, and we've already shown this, as far as where you set your pivot, as far as what's your 0. And in this case, when I did this model, I set the 0 in this end, because that was the low end of the LiDAR data. And I can kind of show that a little bit again here. Yeah. In fact, let me go ahead and show that here really quick. So if I got this LiDAR selected, if I move this down to the ground plane, I can see the low end of the LiDARs on this end. So that's where I had, when I created the actual pass file to create the model that I have in Sandbox, I moved this pivot over to this end. So that's already, when you bring that model in here and keep it at 0, bringing it into the Sandbox, this is at 0, don't move that. Don't be tempted to move that. That's a critical point. I think that's what you meant, James. So it's like if that isn't what you meant, feel free, I guess, to correct me on that. But I think that's what you meant. So Right. So let's get back to it here. So we need to adjust this down because obviously we're too high. We're too high here. We need to bring this down. And this is, part of the delicate balance of creating your transition so that it's not so abrupt. It needs to be a smooth transition, I guess, into the corner to get to that 24 degrees. You don't want it to be 24 degrees all the way around the track, for example, because you're banking, on the straights, being on the back stretch and what have you. In fact, we can go back to our information here. The banking on the straights is only 5 degrees, so yeah, the oval straights are only at 5 degrees. So yeah, that's a huge difference, and it's getting that to blend or feather in, I guess, right? So you don't want it like to be immediately 24 degrees, going into the corner, because that would be a huge, yeah, not a good thing. So yeah, the fact that we have this ability, now I just got to remember which section I was in here, because I want to get, let me zoom in on this again. And if anything, the main point trying to make here, it's not entirely wrong to use it in this fashion that I'm doing. I have taken the approach of getting a little lazy as far as not creating. I do have it already started as far as that low poly model, and I'll probably still play around with that to see how I can manipulate that to match more precisely the the LiDAR information. So if let me just bring this back here. I might go ahead and save this actually, because then again I might not. I might just I'm not sure if I'm happy with. I still want to figure out, as I was trying to show earlier, as far as how to get that creative I guess snap to yeah. There's something I'm missing here. I know it's not that difficult, so. But for now, I'm going to kind of keep that open there so I can always reference that as we're doing this. So, yeah. So let's go into, we need to adjust this up here. So go back into the height view, and let me see where I'm at here. So get this selected. Hello. Why is that not? Alright, why is it not moving? There we go. Alright, so my first initial one I did was this one, I think. Let me go and check. Yeah, this should have been my first initial one, so I've been going backwards. So I'm trying to get that transition off the straight into the corner. And I'll probably have to adjust this all the way around. Probably a lot of this is not going to end up. Okay, so this one's adjusted here, so I'm in this section here. So this is the very entrance of the corner. This would be turn 3 as far as the regular oval. So like if I go onto the straight here, yeah, so like I said, the fact that we don't have the option to copy the properties of the X sections from one segment, either append or prepend that information, that's about the only thing. And I'm sure there was a reason why they had it designed that way. So I would have to bring this up to 7.82, I guess, initially. And all I'm trying to do at this point is just kind of get it roughly the same, and then I'm going to try and smooth that in. Because I'll get the back straight at the 5 degrees of banking on the left, and then just kind of smooth that in. And that should translate as far as where the LiDAR is. It should you should be able to see that translate into it being proper. So yeah, so let me go here. I need to get this point on that segment at 7.82. So let me get there. So this has got to be at 7.82. You can see how it's adjusting here. So you don't necessarily have to use the camera view. So I'm just going to get that roughly in this position here. I'm going to move this to the right, go forward, and I need to get this at 23.58 roughly. Okay. Now, as I said, I'm just putting these roughly into position right now. You know, much the same, you know, so it has much the same transition, and I can adjust it down. Okay. So I got that one. You can see how that transitions there. It's pretty decent so far. And this is still preliminary. This is not final. Alright, so on this part, this is where, more to this area, this is where I want the 5 degrees to be. So I can try and keep this at 0 and just put this at 5 degrees here. So let me go ahead and apply that. So this is next to the wall. This point here is next to the wall. So I'm putting that at 5 degrees or thereabouts. Okay. And I'm going to try and keep this at 0. So I'm going to see if I can get that to transition as such. So I'm going to set all these to 5. Roughly to 5. Like so. And then what I'm going to try and accomplish, this is how the approach I would take anyway, as far as getting that to feather in, as far as that 24 degrees of banking. Alright, so we'll do this at 5. I don't know if that's hard to see in the stream. Let me see if I can zoom in a little more. Just kind of noticed that might be kind of hard to see. So if I zoom in a little bit more, you can see what I'm doing here. So this point here, like I said, this is near the outside retaining wall. So we want, if you're looking at this, you know, this would be the banking that would exist on that, the racing area. So I've got that a little over 5 degrees there. So we'll just continue to go forward. Okay, this is where we're already at 20, roughly 24. Okay, so let me zoom out here a little bit. Alright, so you'll be able to see this. I would try getting the inside X section at apron racing surface set. Yeah, and you could do that. What I'm trying to basically do at this point is just get the banking initially set. And you know what, I get your point, because it's, if you didn't adjust this point, say for example, that's where you're going to run into problems as far as, you know, because anything you adjust along in this point here is going to affect. So like if, for example, if I move this into here, for example, if I move this up, it's going to affect this point, and so on. So yeah, I was trying to keep this as much as 0 as possible, to be perfectly honest. I didn't want this to be okay, hold on. I didn't want this to be, yeah, like I said, I wanted to keep this as much as 0 as possible, because that's going to be in the infield. It would make it, in my mind anyway, it would make it easier as far as creating a model to fill in that void, if you will. So that's why I'm only focusing right now on adjusting what I know needs to be adjusted as far as the apron and such. What I had explained earlier was, as far as I'm going to have to, it would be impervious. That's not the word. It would be imperative that you apply another X section here to define between the actual racing surface, the apron, and where the quote-unquote grass line would be. So like this would be where the interior, the inside retaining wall would be roughly. So there needs to be another X section here. Okay. I'll probably go ahead and just adjust right now, at least anyway. And there's more than one way you could do this. I'm just showing the way that I would necessarily take. I'm going to go ahead and just apply all the banking that I have with the X sections I have here now. But keeping in mind, another X section would have to be applied, you know, to define it in between the apron, the racing surface, and the grass line. And granted, there's not grass necessarily all the way through here, but I'm using that term loosely as far as for that. Because you can see, just by looking at this profile, how much banking you would have beyond. So like your inside wall would be roughly in this area. You would have all this elevation. You probably won't want that. Okay. So alright, so let's get back to yeah, and what I was going to show here. Actually, you can see this transition now as far as that 5 degrees to the 24. So you can see the massive drop off here. So you gotta get, so what I want to do at this point is smooth out I want to get that geometry in this period. I want to get it to, peek through, I guess, that there. Okay, so let me go all the way back this way. Let's back this up. So I want to get this point through the LiDAR, at least, and then kind of smooth that out. Alright, so let me kind of show this here. So you can see how that's moving. And this is just, trying to get that smoothed out was all. So I want to bring this down. Okay, so you see what's going on here. And this doesn't necessarily have to come down as well. So you can see how that's peeking through there. Alright. So we're going back here again. We're going to move this up. See, that's coming through. So this is kind of the idea of using that LiDAR to your advantage. That's what I was trying to... So we're just trying to smooth that out. You can see the top of the wall peeking through there. So now we got a better transition there. So now we need to adjust this all the way through. So now we'll have a much better idea of where that needs to be. Okay, so if I keep it on the camera view here. And so in this point, we need to bring this down for sure. So you can see how it's, in comparison to the LiDAR, how that's peeking through there. Okay, so we'll go this way. Bring this down. Okay. And you can see the necessity, I guess, for having another X section in there as well. So I'll get this roughly adjusted like this. Okay. So we'll have to more than likely adjust. Yeah, so you can see how that's peeking through there. This is exactly what I was hoping to see, to be honest. Because we want to get it, we want to match the LiDAR as much as possible. So you can see it's kind of poking through there just a little bit. That's not actually too terrible. Okay, so you can see how this transitions now. So here's is on the back straight. This is going into the entrance of the corner. A little bit more into the corner. A little bit more in the corner, and so on. Yes, that's exactly what I was expecting, and I'm glad it is working the way I had expected it to do. As far as being able to see how you're actually aligning that track geometry spline to the LiDAR. You can literally visually see that. That's exactly what I was hoping to see. So the fact that we have this one here, that's got to come down as well. Let's move it to here. You can see that moving. I got a little bit far away, so it might be kind of hard to see, but you can see the top of the wall going through, kind of sinking back down. Let me move this over here this way. Okay, so yeah, the fact that you can see the top of the wall there. Okay. Now I can move it onto the apron here, and I can see where that's, so you can see that peeking through. So we want that to go down a little bit. So that's probably pretty good right there. And you're probably not going to get 100% perfect, because keeping in mind that I'm using the point cloud data, and there's a lot of, bumpiness to it. It's not perfectly smooth, for example. So you're not going to get that perfect, based on how your track segments are and such. It's a matter of getting it damn close. And I think we're doing pretty good so far. Pretty darn good. Alright, so moving right along, I'll just go in this direction to get this adjusted. Now the fact that I have this gap right here might pose a problem. The fact that I already know this area's already adjusted, I got that peeking through a little bit. So, oh yeah, definitely. I'm 100% satisfied with this so far. As far as being able to get, it's no longer a guessing game as far as where that banking, as far as the height view is concerned. There's no more guessing, because because the data is right there. You're looking at it visually. This is 100%. And the fact that I've waited this long to actually bring it to light, as far as this what we 100% expected, I guess, to happen. And the fact that it is doing it that way, this is glorious. Okay, so I'm going to move this forward. So now I'm ahead here, so I'm going to bring this up like so, and I should be able to see that move. There it is right there. Okay. So you get the idea as far as, okay, let's bring the apron up. Like so. So until it starts peeking through there. See, and you can see how this transitions now. You know, you can move it forward and backward and see how that's looking. So not only visually, but as far as technically, you know, as far as in the height view, that's perfect. That's next to real life. So, all right. So moving right forward, I'm gonna move the camera here a little bit more, like so. Okay. So we'll get this all adjusted so you can see where the drop off is here. That'd be a fun roller coaster ride, huh? All right. So, you know, and I could have necessarily poly-segmented this out a little bit better, to be honest. But the fact that we still have that to reference, that's useful. I think this is more or less just a problem of how I poly-segmented it in Cloud Compare, to be honest. So, all right, so let's check this out. We can see this adjust now if we move it forward. And again, I'm still on that outside wall segment there, so I'm going to bring that up. Let's adjust the apron. There we go. See, it's peeking through there. All right. Go back to here, move it forward. Bring that up. Oh, this is so wonderful. I like this so much better. As far as having something more, there's just no more guessing. That's what I like about it. I'm getting kind of a little bit of a chubby right now, to be honest. Because this is glorious. I like this. This is what I was 100% hoping would be the case with doing this way. And barring in mind, you know, like I said, as far as the model that I created based on the LiDAR, my poly segmentation out of Cloud Compare was probably not very good. I could have probably done a lot better job on that, but this at least gives us some idea of what we would potentially have to do, I guess, to you know, kind of tweak on those types of things. You know, be a little bit more precise, if you will. So, okay, so yep, moving right along. So we're on the slope. So I got it still on that same point as far as the outside wall. So I'm going to adjust that up. Smooth this thing right out. Okay, go to the apron. Smooth that out. So I can see it poking through here. Okay, go back to the outside wall. Bring that up. And we're just going all the way around and adjusting this accordingly. Get that apron poked through there. Okay. Yeah, so you can see it's kind of a little bit sharp there. So we'll have to see how that necessarily translates. Okay, let me move the camera view. A little bit more here. There we go. And I'm going to have to check once I do this as well as to see what the degrees, you know, the banking at left and all that is at. Right now I'm just trying to match it up to the actual LiDAR model. So we'll definitely have to make some adjustments too. So let's get this up here. Adjust the apron. You can see that poking through. Good. All right. Move that forward. Outside wall. Apron. Okay. But you get the odd there. So definitely, you know, like I said, as far as putting another X section in there, that's going to help you define the flat of the apron and all that jazz. So we'll probably end up having to move this one up, which I was hoping to probably avoid that, but I don't think it's going to be avoidable. That's perfectly fine. I mean, we want to get it right. That's for sure. So bring that up. Bring the apron up. Yeah, and like I said, you're going to get areas of the, you know, as far as the depressions that are actually in the LiDAR, as far as the different dips and depressions that are in the LiDAR, you're not going to be able to get all of that. So, Bob Ross. Yeah, like I just happened to notice that. That's funny. All right, so yeah, we're going to have to bring this down a lot. So this is where it's transitioning out of the exit of the turn. So yeah, we're going to have to bring this down. I'm just realizing that now. Okay, so hold on here. Hold the phone. Alright, so let me see here. So I gotta go back. Yeah, this needs to come down. Whoops. Yeah, bring this down. Bring this down a little. Actually, it's got to come down quite a bit. Alright, so I got to go about there. Back. Bring this down. Yeah, so this is the transition out of the corner. The exit. So yeah, I can see that poking through. Okay. Here, bring that down. I'll have to probably make several adjustments, I guess, to that. I guess to get that to be more smooth. But, not too bad. Alright, so let's go back one more. So let's see if this is... Yep, that's poking through there. That's actually not too bad there. Visually. Alright, so let's check this out here. So we got that. Okay, there we go. You can see that. Smooth that out there. Basically all I'm trying to do right now is just get that wall kind of straightened out a little bit. You can see it's kind of wonky. Alright. So I'm trying to bring this down. Okay. Yep, so there'll be a little bit of adjustment to do for sure as far as that type of thing goes, but you kind of get the idea. See if we adjust this one. I'm getting a little too particular about this right now, that's for sure. Okay. Yeah, so there'll be a little bit adjustment and get that straightened out there a little bit, but you kind of get the idea. Alright, so let's go ahead and keep going with this here. I want to get at least all of this initial elevation put in here, you know, for starters at least. So we'll just continue going around here. So we'll put it back on the outside wall. Alright, and bring this up. Go to the apron, bring that up. See that poking through? Alright. Yep, that should be good there. Move forward. Okay, smooth that up. Yeah, this is relatively pretty small segment here, so yep, see that poking through. Let's bring that down a little bit. Yeah, that's one of those smaller sections. Alright, so we move this up. Yep, so you kind of get the idea as far as how this works here. Just to have something visual to mate the actual elevation, this is huge. I mean, it's granted the model might be a little bit, you know, like I said, as far as a little bit wonky, but that can be fixed. That can definitely be fixed. Whoops. Yeah. Let's move forward. Bring this up. Whoop. Okay. Go to the apron. You see, it might even be easier. And this might have a little bit to do with what you were trying to explain there, James, as far as bringing in another apron section to define that a little bit better. But you could do that after. I'll show that once I get this all done. I'll have a little bit more. Excuse me. Let me get a drink. Wow. Ooh, that's nasty. Anyway, what I was saying is, yeah, to get a little bit more precision on defining that apron area. Yeah, that's definitely evident to me at this point. So, all right, so let's move this forward. that up like so. Let's move the initial apron here. Yeah, see, this has got to come down quite a bit, I think. So let me move this down. Yeah, so it's got probably a lot of bumpiness in the actual LiDAR. So this might tend to be a little bit off in this area. So I'll leave it like that for now. Yeah, because I do feel like it is going up way higher than it needs to. Yeah, because that's not... Okay, there it is right there. Okay. The apron is really the telltale as far as how much I would need to adjust that. I do feel like this is kind of a little too high. Let me just check this out here. I do feel that's probably a little too high. It's got a little jog in this in here, notice, as far as the height. Let me see if I can go back here a little bit. Just to see. The fact that we have, you know, a little bit more of these smaller sections in here. Yeah, let me bring this down. So you see how much adjustability there is in this, that's for sure. Yeah, so I think that is a little too high. It's got to come down to like that. Okay. Yeah, so this needs to come down. Alright. Let me back this camera up a little bit. Yep, I think I got that transition a little too high. Let's see, the fact that we have it visually like that, you know, I like that. Never had that before as far as to see it visually, as far as how that's... Okay, bring this down. Yeah, there we go. That's more better. That's more better. Now, whether or not the actual banking itself is correct, we'll still have to check that, but I just want to get the, like I said, the initial banking. Alright, so move this back. Okay, move that down a little. Yep, so you can see how that's adjusting down. There we go. Oh, I'm liking this a lot. So much. There we go. Still a little bit of wonkiness in the wall, but I've never seen a a perfectly level and straight wall in, you know, a lot of the NASCAR tracks anyway. No. So there's that. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to make excuses as far as just leaving that there, but there's not a lot of walls that I've noticed in a lot of the NASCAR tracks that are perfectly straight. They got some wonkiness in it. Okay. So let's go back one. Here we go. Beautiful. I like it. I like it a lot. See, there we go. It's a little better. Now we're cooking with Crisco. Alright, so let's continue doing that. So I think, alright, let's see where we're at here. So let's get to the next one that's still flat, which is right here. So let's see where we're at here. Okay, let's bring that apron up. Yep, so this has got to stay down. Okay, so yeah, you can see the difference here between this point and this point. So if I bring it up there, you can see how that's bleeding through there. So I might have to adjust this one down just a touch. There we go. Otherwise, there would be a nice little dip there, and you'll be able to see that. That'll be 100% evident if you were to test it in game. Okay. Go to this point. Bring that up. Okay. Bring this up. See that? Here, let me move the camera here. So I'm not looking at it from a distance. But yeah, look at this. Look at that dive there. That's crazy. Look at how much I've had to adjust that. Kind of cool, in a way. All right, so yeah, let's adjust this down. Yep. There we go. Alright, let me move the camera over here. Slew it over this way. And I mean, I have showed this before too, as far as to change the speed. I got that little clips in there as far as the how-tos. To change the speed of your camera in the slew mode like that, you can use the plus and minus on the numpad. That'll slow it down. There you go. So like if you don't want it whipping around there, I guess like that, you have that option. Okay, so alright, next section. Let's bring that up. Alright, adjust the apron. Your initial apron there. See that poking through. Good. Next. So this can be somewhat of a tedious process here as well, as you can probably tell. But this is what you do, I guess, to get your initial, here, speed that up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we'll go to the next section. I'm not really concerned, and, you know, you can feel free, I guess, to do this how you'd like, but initially I just want to get the elevation adjusted to the LiDAR first, and then kind of go from there. Okay, so I don't like this transition. Might have to adjust this one down just a little. There we go. Okay. Alright, next. Okay. Apron. Oop. Yep, so see that's already poking through there, so we're getting that transition out of the corner. Pretty good. Move that up. Apron. Beautiful. Yep, I do like how this is turning out so far. Very much, very, very much. So the fact that we're definitely gonna have to go all the way around. Yep, to, you know, have this. Otherwise, you're gonna have this big drop off here. So you kind of get how that works. See this? Look at this drop off here. Huge drop off. All right, so okay. Keep going with this here. So I want to adjust wall. Okay, apron. Okay, so I'm getting to the point where I don't even need to. So bring this down. There we go. Yep. So you can see how that's bleeding through already. So that's kind of gives you an idea where it's got to be. Good to go. All right, so wall. What the heck's going on here? Okay, let me get the apron. Yep, there's the apron. Yeah, so you can see even more closely here as far as the jaggedness that exists in here. You know, as far as the probably was a depression or something there. So yeah, you're not going to be able to get a lot of that information in the. Okay, so I got to adjust this down. That's for sure. Holy crap! This has got to come down. There we go. Right, this is the apron, right? Yep, there we go. So we're getting to that point where this needs to come up, though, I think. Interesting how that's. All right, let me put this down. That's the wall, isn't it? Hold on a second. Oh, okay. I see. That's where that gap is. I'm like, what the heck's going on? That's where the gap is. So if I look in the main view, this is where we have the gap in the yeah. So let's yeah. So we're at that gap. Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. What the heck is going on here? Okay, so we're at this point here where I don't want to mess around too much with going on in here, so we'll probably jump over to this part. Get across that divide. Let me see here. let's see. Yeah, so we want to get this area, as far as the outside of the track, up to, yeah, to marry, I guess, with this here. So this is where that divide is between the two different directions of the track. So, yeah. Let's jump over to here. Yep. That's where the wall is here. Yeah, it's kind of freaking me out there a little bit. It's like, what the heck is going on? Alright. So we want to bring this up. There it is there. Now, if I really wanted to, I could see what, let me check that. See what this one's set at. And kind of translate that over. So like this is at 5.28. That's actually not too bad. You know, the fact that the that's should be the apron. Yeah, something's not right here. Hold on a second. This here. Alright, hold on a minute. That to me doesn't, that's not translating. So this, alright, there's the wall. It's kind of weird how that's doing that as far as how, alright, hold on. Let me see how this adjusts here. So if I move this down, okay. Just trying to get an idea of how that's, so that's been our apron line. So the fact that we've got 1, 2, 3, so there's our wall. Holy smokes. Yeah, so we definitely need something X section wise in here, whatever, bring this down, because that's probably a little bit too high. Okay, that's what I want to look at. So this is at 5.20, I guess, on that. So we can jump across here, and we should be able to bring that roughly the same. We'd have to bring this up, of course, but alright, so camera view. Let's move that over to here. Yeah, so we can see how that's dropped down here. So we're trying to get this up to this level. That's where we're at right now so far. Let's move this over this way. Bring that up. And it looks like I'm kind of missing. Can I bring this down a little? Alright. This one, I think, needs to go up as well, does it? Huh. What is that adjusting there? Hold on. Trying to get that end to move here. Let's see where I'm at here. Go to the main view. See, and this is what I thought might necessarily be an issue. Let me get this. This is what I was worried about. This was going into the last week as far as how that banking would translate through this divide here. And I think I'm seeing firsthand as far as how that is. Let me see. Because, alright, let's see if I can adjust this. See what it's not letting me do. Okay, there we go. That's okay. So I can get the right one. There we go. Yep. Yep. Okay, I figured it out. So yeah, so now we're gonna have this void in here, but it's gonna have the banking is gonna go, rather than it naturally would, as far as have banking, you know, be the same all the way through this. It's gonna kind of come off of here and do a banking side to side this way. So we'll have to do some testing to see how that's actually going to work out. You know, because the fact that they have all kinds of barricades and stuff there, so you can't, you know, you can't race, you know, the normal oval. I think that's where it'll probably Okay, let's see if I can adjust this up. Okay, that's poking through. Cool. Okay, let's get this. I'm not sure if I need to adjust this or not. Let me check that. Let's see. This should be where the outside wall is. Technically, but yeah, see, that's adjusting all that. So we'll bring that up. So this will probably relatively just have to be flat here. Yeah. We'll have to just make this like a plateau type of thing. See how that's poking through there. Okay. Alright. So, oops, I go this way. Nope. I keep losing my way here. Okay, where's this at? Alright, that's interior. I don't want to mess with any of that yet. I want to leave that alone. That's, yeah. We don't want to mess with that one just yet. So from here to here. Alright, let's put that back into camera view. Alright, so that's adjusting there. Cool. Alright, move this up. Yeah, there we go. Okay, move the apron. See that poking through? So might have to adjust this a little bit. Yep, that should be good. Definitely not, you know, now that I get to see it visually like this, you're definitely not going to be able to get that 100% perfect, so. Alright. So move this up. Move the apron up. Just making some minor adjustments to it there. You can see how it's bleeding through that. Alright. Alright, let's move this camera. Like I said, but I basically want to get complete. Oh man, that's way too high. What the heck? What? Okay, hold on. Gotta bring that down. Going way too high there. Okay. Alright, so yep, this one needs to come down. Okay, so something like that. Forward, over here, bring this up. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Bring that down a little bit more. I don't know why is that so sharp there? That's crazy. Yeah, it shouldn't be like that, I don't think there. Definitely probably gonna have to put another X section in here somewhere. Yeah, so I think I got that going all the way. Yeah. Huh. I'm not sure why there's such a drastic, yeah, as far as that profile, that's kind of weird. That shouldn't be quite that drastic, but that seems to be the way it wants to translate it. So far, so we'll kind of leave it that way for now. Okay. Yeah. Definitely needed some more X sections, I guess, to kind of fine tune that a little bit more. For sure. All right. So. Okay, let's put this back over here. We're just gonna get this roughly into place here. Yeah, the fact that that's doing one of these numbers. Ringnails on, yeah, that's what I'm coming to realize at this point here. So I'm just trying to get this roughly into place. yeah, that's becoming a lot more evident on this end of the track as far as the way I have the polys of, yeah, I don't have much more adjustability. That's why I would have to, yeah, that's why I need another adjustment here, and I'll do that once I get this all done on the ground. Once I get back to the turn 3 entrance, then I'll make those adjustments. But yeah, you can clearly and truly see, I guess, as far as how that's translating, I guess, in the LiDAR. You know, trying to get the track spline, I guess, to match the LiDAR. I do necessarily need to adjust this interior-most X section as well as to add at least one more X section in there to have that adjustability in that. So, okay. What the frick is going on? That's interesting how it's doing that. Yeah. Okay. Okie-dokie. So yeah, let's just keep doing this way for now. Just want to get these initially set. We'll definitely have some more adjustment to do there. So let me just get this all up and follow this same trajectory for now. Alright. Don't necessarily want to backtrack just yet until I can get this. Yeah. Definitely need to do just that. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and go around here until we get to. I'll have to adjust the camera here again. This is pretty, it's pretty insightful, as far as how this LiDAR information is actually, coming into play here. Kind of interesting. So right here, it's not too bad as far as how that trajectory is there. Okay. It's getting a little bit more understandable, logical there. Yep. It's starting to smooth out here, so yeah. Alright, so let's just go ahead and keep going here, and we'll just made up with where we started off there in the entrance of turn 3 as far as the, and then we'll make our necessary adjustments to the X sections as we go. Alright, so let's yep, so you can see how that's all adjusting there. Yep. Alright, let's go back in here, go forward, bring that up, bring this up. Yeah, so it's not a whole lot there, so yeah, we'll definitely have to bring in that innermost, but I'm going to have to add one, like I said. At least one. Okay, so now, yep, we're getting there. So we're coming up to, there's our, starting where we started off there, right there. Alright, so move this forward. Yep, this is where we started our 5 degrees of banking here. Okay. So, let's bring this back down. Let's see here. Let me see here. Okay, so this is a pretty big segment here too. So, just want to see where we're at. Yep, so that's coming through there. Yep, so that's good. So, what I need to do is get this one here. This is where I initially started off at. I need to get that to pop up this way. There it is. Something like that. Bring that apron up. Yep. Okay, so we'll move it forward. Bring this up. And this will probably, I'll have to adjust the interior, so don't take this as final. Just yet here, I'm just trying to get this to feather in, smooth in. There we go. Yep. Alright, so this is where we got that smooth in there. So now, and I'm getting to that point I need to save this, that's for sure. I'm going to save this as a new PTF here. So that's pretty decent so far, as far as how it's kind of transitioned there. It's not final yet, for sure, but still got some adjustment to make there. So what I'm going to do, I've been into this thing here for well over 2 hours, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure I save this now. This is well beyond as far as what I'm comfortable as far as. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and save this as a new PTF. And I'm going to change the name of this. I'm going to do apply elevation. That looks good. I'll go ahead and save that. And I want to verify. Let's bring this back over here. I want to verify that that is saved. We'll go into our track edit folder. And there it be. So we're good to go there. Good to go there. Now, what I'm going to do, just to refresh this thing, I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this and reopen the application just to kind of refresh it. It's always a good habit to get into as well. Alright. So, go ahead and open that back up. Should already be there. And just load it back up. Just to kind of refresh the program, the application overall. Just give that a second to load. And there we go. Alright, so now we're back in here. We'll go ahead and unlock geometry. And should still have our height view and all that. So there's a camera. Alright, so we should be on the front stretch here. This is our front stretch. This is where the camera starts. Actually, that is the back stretch. Interesting. Why in the heck did it start it there? I don't have that set as the lead segment, do I? Let me check that. I thought I had the lead segment over here. Yeah, that's the lead segment over here. That's interesting. I wonder why the camera, I closed it out and initially opened up on. Is it? I'm kind of discombobulated. Is that the, no, that is the front stretch. Never mind. Never mind. Yeah, so that loaded in the right spot. That was kind of freaking me out there a little bit. It's like, why the heck did the camera load up there? Okay, so now what we need to do, and I'll start in the same area as far as turn 3 there, as we've been doing. Let's start over here. Yep, that should be good so far there. What I want to do, and what will probably make it easier, actually, let's first adjust that innermost section so we can get the texture coming through, I guess, the edge of the LiDAR firstly, and then we'll apply another set of X sections in there to adjust, to find the apron more. So let's take this and go into our height view. Okay, so we're on that innermost section there, so I want to bring up the camera view like so, and we should see this adjust. And we're over there, so you can see that popping through there. So we wanted to get that leveled out here more with the LiDAR, like so. So we'll just go around and adjust that accordingly. So like that. And see, that's where I was saying, as far as putting another X section in here, it's going to make, I'll be able to tweak that a lot more precisely as well, as far as to get that to match better. So just for now, I'm going to adjust just that innermost X section, and then I'll apply that additional set of X sections in there. Alright, so move forward, move this up, so you can kind of see what I'm what I'm trying to do here, as far as you get this all lined up, that one's pretty good there. Majority of this should be pretty good. This was the end that was already set to 0, so I shouldn't have to adjust this too much. That should not need to be adjusted all that much. And that's exactly what I would expect to see. Alright, so let's go here. And again, keeping in mind, I'm not getting tempted at all to adjust the LiDAR itself. You leave the LiDAR where it is. You're adjusting your track spline to... Whoops, I guess I went too far. Back that up a little bit. I think that's one of those smaller segments. Yep. Yeah, so the very little adjustment that I needed there, that's for sure. Alright, so we're right there. Okay. Yep. You can see that kind of poking through there. Okay. Alright, I need to adjust the camera. So over here. Yeah, so you can still see this sloping off here too. Same idea as with the wall. Alright, so yep, move this up. Oh, hold on. Gotta move this one. There we go. Move that one. And I'll probably have to do a lot of adjustment to get this nice and smooth so it's not so bumpy. I'm just trying to initially get this set, you know, kind of get it, you know, matched up as close as possible to the LiDAR for now. Alright. Kind of see what what I'm trying to do here as far as to get that innermost section to line up with the LiDAR in this part, in this edge. Just much the same as I did with the outside wall. Alright, so I gotta adjust my view here. There we go. Move it forward. Yep. So, you know, I'll probably have to make more adjustments, I guess, to the other X sections as well to kind of, you know, follow that contour. Otherwise, you know, you'll be able to tell, I guess, with the that cutaway view as far as what it's actually doing. You know, the fact that I'm adjusting this the way I am, it's going to affect how the banking on the left and whatever is on the segments that I've already applied. So I'm just meeting that up like that. You can see this is very wavy so far. I'm not going to be too concerned with it at this point for now. I'll have to adjust that, but it will need to be adjusted. You can definitely see there's a waviness in here. Yep. A little bit of waviness there, so I'll try to fix that a little bit. Yeah, so yeah, the fact that I've cut a lot of these polys out here might be a little bit more difficult, I guess, to get that in there, but I do have some right here, so it's not like I don't have something to go by. Alright, so smooth this out as much as possible. Yep, there we go. Yep. So we get this in here. I can already tell this is like super wavy and bumpy, but that's okay. Okay. Yeah, so you can see how that's adjusting out here as well. This is where it kind of goes into the infield. So, yep. That goes to show you right there as far as how much adjustment will need to be made on those X sections that I already set. That's why. Alright, so yeah, this is diving out. This is dive bombing like ridiculously. You can tell right here how much that dives down. Alright, so let's move this forward. Okay. Oops, I'm kind of losing sight of my point there. There we go. Alright, so I should probably be pretty well into the infield right at this point. Let me see here. Yep, pretty close. I'm at this point right here. So it's kind of a little sliver. Okay. This is where it's going to get a little bit nerve-wracking, to be honest, because that's where it's making that transition into the infield. And I kind of already anticipated that, to be a little bit honest. What the heck? Wow, is that thing that low? Holy smokes. Okay, it is poking through there a little bit. Let me see if I can look at it from this way. Yeah, there we go. So I can see it better this way. So you can see how much I would have to adjust this, for example. See how that's bleeding through there? So that's how much adjustment I'd have to make there for it to match the LiDAR. Meet up with the LiDAR anyway. So let's go here. Yep, see there it is right there. Let's go over here. Yeah, see? Yep. So I'm thinking I probably don't need, hold on a second. Let me go back to this one. I don't need this up this high. This can come down. There we go. Alright, so let's go back another one here. Yeah, this can come down. Alright, so that's at 0.67. Bring this down. Yeah, we don't need to be quite that high there. You can see how that's adjusting there like that. Okay. 0.67. Okay. Yeah, so that should be pretty good there, I think. Move this over. Let's go back here. Yeah, so all of these I'm going to have to bring up as well. So, like, this one will have to come up. Yep, so that one there. And probably this one here. Yep. You can see that on the very edge of that segment there. Okay, so this one, for some reason it's set to, must have missed this one, so I gotta set this to mode absolute. So I should be able to bring that down. And that here should be able to come down. Alright, let's check that again, so that's I already kind of figured, like I said, as far as this was going to be a little nerve-wracking with this area here. Kind of what I already anticipated. So yeah, I'll probably have to really play around with how that area's works there, but I think that should be pretty good. Like that. Over here, yeah. So we're still relatively flat there. We just had to adjust that. It's the more the banking is going to be on this outside edge of those sections there. So that's probably, yeah. So the fact that I was hoping not to have to adjust that too much. So let me look in this view. Let's kind of see how that's looking so far. So there's a little bit of a hump here. Yep. And it's the dips right here, so I gotta adjust this some more. Okay, so let's go to height view. Let me get in the right spot. That's more or less in this area right here. So let's go to here. In this section, that's what I need to adjust between these two. Okay, so alright, so this I think has to come down. There we go. This one here. Yeah, I think this would have to go down like so. If I'm not mistaken, let me check this out. Alright, so if I go into slew mode here. Yeah, so there's some height data in here that, yeah, not really all that useful to us there. But yeah, that should be pretty good. I gotta check this outside wall here. So I think this. Okay, that's that part. That's interesting. Alright, so this here is the actual wall, okay. So yeah, this is basically the other side of the wall there, so I can keep that like that. I kind of almost feel like this needs to go up, but see how that's already bleeding through here. And I think that I could probably bring this up like this, and if I put that additional X section in there, that's going to give me that adjustability. Yeah, so we'll keep it at that for now. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so let me adjust that back down. Actually, no, I can keep that way, and I can actually add another X section in here, and that's the same idea like I was saying as far as to define that apron. I'll be able to, yeah, move that into here to bring this. I can manipulate that a little bit more precisely. So, okay, so moving back over to here. That's what we need to adjust next. On this side of the divide. Okay, so let's see if we can see where that's at. Let me check it from this top-down view first. So if I go into height views, we need to move this up. Yep, so we can see that adjusting right there. Let me slide this over. Alright, so if I go to height view, there we go. So we can see that bleeding through there, so that's where I want to get that. Something like that. And then I would have to adjust this line. Kind of smooth this out here a little bit. Yep, so let's move this up. Yeah, so we're going to have that little bit of banking there, so I think we can still go down on this a little bit. Yeah, so something like that. Move that forward, we got to move this up. Yep, move to where that's bleeding through. And then adjust this. Actually, that's going to probably go down on this just a little more. There we go. That's pretty close there, and just looking at the profile of it there, you kind of get the idea. And I can make a lot more adjustments to that later on. I don't have to get super duper precise. For now, I'm just trying to meet this up with the LiDAR as much as possible, so you can see that's bleeding through. That's already bleeding through. So something like that. Alright, let's bring this one up. So we got to adjust all of these up. So it's more or less landing on this line right here. More or less that point. Oh, did you need some wake-up juice there? Yeah, just okay, so we're making quite a bit of progress here as far as being able to. The fact that we definitely have made it very evident of how useful this LiDAR information is, as far as to not have to guess anymore how, where that elevation actually needs to be. So that's a huge thing, and like I said, barring the condition, I guess, of the LiDAR model that I'm actually using, that's neither here nor there as far as that can be cleaned up. I could use a lot more cleaner model. So you go to my height view. Let's bring that into view here. Yeah. Alright, so we need to move this up. Yep. So it's more or less kind of falling right on this one line, like I said. For the most part. In and around that point right there. So you can see, once I get that other X section applied in there, I'll have a lot more adjustability on that area as well. So I'll do that. Whether I do it in this stream, or if I wait, hold on to it till next week, there's going to be a lot of adjustability I need to make just in this process right here so far. Yeah, that's pretty good right there. Alright, I want to check in the camera view actually. How's that looking across that divide? From what I can tell there, that's actually not too bad. So you got, here's this wall here, and that wall right across the divide. You can see that kind of the end of it right here. And what I can do after I save this again, after I get this done, I can actually look at that. But from what I see here so far, like I said, I can see the top of the wall on this side of the divide right here, and then the other one's like right there. So as far as looking at it from that trajectory, that looks pretty damn good. I like it a lot. Alright, so yeah, let's go back into the height view. Let's move it forward. Let's continue moving these innermost X sections here upwards. And adjust our apron accordingly as well. Yeah, so the fact that I'm getting this type of trajectory so far, I might have to adjust this downside, because the bank at left for this point, that's 41 degrees. I don't think that's correct, so I'll have to adjust that as well. Yeah, because to get this down to, okay, that's 24.68 right there, bank at left. So this bank between in this area here is 24.68 right now. Alright, so right here, yep, that's just kind of cool how you can see it actually bleeding through there, as far as, having that visual. I think that's just awesome. Right, so yeah, adjust the view in the main view here. Whoops, kind of hiding. Here, let me move this. Here, let me shrink this up just a little. In fact, you can adjust a lot of these views like that. It's kind of useful. Alright, so it's going that innermost section here. Yep, see that already bleeding through. So we don't need as much adjustment there. Do need a little bit right there. Okay. Alright, so move it forward. Yeah, so we're getting into the point where we don't need to adjust it quite so much. See how it's already bleeding through, so I need to bring this down. Holy smokes. Okay, so this one's actually going that way. I'm almost thinking I'll probably still keep that there. I think once I get that additional X section here, right in between these two, I'll be able to adjust that better. Yeah, so I'll leave that there. So if I can see how that's moving there. Okay. Yeah, so we're pretty much to the point where we don't need to adjust much more, but we'll check these out just to make sure. Okay, so that one we do. Move that here, move this up. Oh wow, check that. That's a pretty big segment there too, so. Yep. There we go, so we got that one. Okay, bring that down. Yep. See, and you can see where right where I'm adjusting it there is right there. So you kind of get a really pretty precise amount of elevation change right on that transition line. I mean, you can even see the profile as far as how that translates there. We haven't been able to do that up until this point. So, okay, so if I need to move this one up. Nope, so all this here should be pretty good. We don't need to make, so I think we're right where we need to be as far as. Yep. See, I kind of, if I zoomed in a little bit more, I could probably get a much better preciseness too. Let's see, I can drop this wall down. See how that's adjusting there. In fact, looking at the profile, I think I need to come up just a touch. So our bank at the left here is a little more than 5 degrees, but that's we're getting closer to the actual entrance of that corner. So if I back this up, whoops, we're at 10 degrees there. Yeah, we're at 7.5 degrees there, so it's not quite the 5 degrees that we were looking for on the straight, so we'll probably have to make some adjustment. The fact that I am using the LiDAR directly, yeah, see, and be it the fact too that I'm not looking at, yeah, this is at 25 degrees, so I'll probably have to adjust that down, you know, just to kind of compensate to get to that, what they, I don't want to say speculate, but as far as what they gauge it as, 5 degrees on the straight. So, alright, so I think we're pretty good. Let me check it over here real quick. Let's go over to this area and just check all that in this area. Yep, so we should be all pretty good here. We should nothing need to adjust that at all. Very little. So you can see that's already bleeding through. Yep. So we're all good through this area. So, yeah. So at least up to that point, we're still pretty good there. I'm going to go ahead and save it again based on that. Still going to need to smooth out quite a few areas, and you'll probably be able to tell. I'm afraid to look, actually, as far as in the roller coaster view, as far as how this looks. So if I was to go, let me expand this out a little bit, show off the roller coaster view, I guess, here a little bit. So basically what this shows is all the wonkiness that you have in your X sections, I guess. Yeah, so see all this. So we'll probably definitely have to smooth some areas out here. So as we go around this, so like if I select this here, this kind of shows you where it's at. Yeah, so this area here represents in this area, right here. So you can do this much the same way as you do the cutaway view. This view here gives you a really good indication as far as how much lumpiness there's going to be Now the fact that we have this much lumpiness here in this area, that's kind of odd. In fact, let me put that on camera view. That's in the turn 1 area. So let's bring the camera view up here. Don't know why it's like that. Let's go check that out though. See what's going on. So if I pan it over to that area, which is right about here, you can get a better idea of what's going on. Okay. Alright, so let me just snap it to that really quick here. Whoops. Keep it on the camera view. Hello? There we go. Alright, so on the height view, let's zoom in on this and see what's going on here. So the fact that you have all this kind of wonkiness, let's see if we can straighten this out. You can see how that, wait, I might not have it in the right spot. Let's adjust our camera. Alright, see if we can get to pinpoint the area that we're adjusting there. Interesting. So it should be roughly in this area, but the fact that it's got all this wonkiness in there, we don't necessarily want all that. I want to smooth all this out. You know, and this is really another step that you would do. I'm not going to go, you know, get too crazy, I guess, with adjusting this all right away, but this is basically what exists, you know, as far as all the wonkiness that you would have in your X sections in comparison to just the cutaway view. So like any dips or bumps that you would have there, see like this spot, let's see where this is at. That's still in the turn 1 area here as well. Let me see if I can keep up that camera view. Zoom in on that area. Yeah, so let's just see. So this line right here is, here, let me go to this view here. That line is the apron right here. That's what's highlighted. So the fact that it's got a little bit of a dip in there, that would necessarily be a problem as far as if you were to test it on there, you would feel a bump there. Pretty severe one at that, in that case. So yeah, I want to probably adjust that like so. And it looks to me like it is kind of showing up here as well. Hello? What in the heck? Uh-oh. Oh, I'm locking up here, son of a gun. Glad I saved it. Yeah, see, this time, this will happen. This is probably a good thing that it has happened. When you're dealing with X sections like this, a lot of times, you know, as far as when you get, you know, into working this will happen. This is a common thing with Sandbox. So, like I said, it's probably a good thing that this is kind of happening, because this is something you will necessarily deal with. And it happens a lot, dealing with X sections as far as adjusting. So the fact that I saved it already, that's probably a good thing. I didn't save it prior to, so I'm probably going to have to adjust all those innermost X sections again, so that kind of stinks. But, yeah, I should have probably saved it before I started goofing around with all that, to be honest. That's my own fault. So, lesson learned. That's probably a good point that happened right there, because this is why you need to save often. So let me go ahead and end that out. A second here. Okay. It's actually showing it's still running, but obviously is not. So let's see. Yep, so I need to end that task. There we go. Got that off screen there. So yeah, it's probably a good thing, like I said, that that actually did happen, because yep, that will happen. And like I said, for me, in my experience too, like that'll happen a lot more in dealing with the X sections than it will any other way, in any other thing you do in Sandbox. So yeah. What the freak? Why is it hesitating? Yeah, the fact that I still got Max open as well, with all this going on in here, I think I'm gonna go ahead and just close this, to be honest, because it's using up a lot of my RAM. The fact that that's got that, yeah, all that going on in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and reset this. I'm not gonna save that. I can deal with that. That's kind of a work in progress as far as. Alright, so what I'm going to focus on here for the most part, like I said, I'm going to have to redo all that, yeah, as far as adjusting those innermost F sections there, but X sections, but yeah, you kind of get the idea as far as why it's important, I guess, to save often, especially when you're dealing with X sections, you know, in the height view and stuff like that, because that happens a lot. A lot. So, where are we at as far as, like, we're already closing in on the 3 hours. Oh, shoot. I'm just debating whether or not I want to mess around with, what the heck. Let's go ahead and do that. I didn't want to bore, I guess, having to redo that all over again, but, because it's pretty tedious. I would have to do it all over again. I'll try to keep my saltiness, I guess, to a minimum. As far as kind of in a way, I'm somewhat glad that I guess it did happen, because I want to spoil anybody as far as like that. Well, that looks easy, you know. It's like this boop, 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 and all of a sudden, oh, I never saved, 2 hours ago. Bam, just lost all your work. So it's probably a good thing, I guess, it did happen. So let me go through this process once again, and I'm going to start over in turn 3 still. Yeah, that'll work there. So if I go into the height view, pan this camera over to that area, and we'll adjust this as such here. So let's see. Should be right about in this area. Let me zoom it out just a little more. Yeah, let's do it like that. Get that set up there, and now I'm gonna have to move this back over. I don't want that view. I want this view, and then pan that here. All right. So now we just need to adjust this up again. So this area here, like I said, should not need to be adjusted all that much. So we should be pretty good here. It's going to be more or less on the exit of, yeah, so let me just move this forward. It's going to be more towards the exit of, will be turn 4 here, is where I'll have to adjust it the most. But let's go ahead. Go into height view. Let me zoom in on this just a little bit. Yeah, so we can actually see it adjusting in this view as well. Right, so let's go in here. Let's move it forward. Yeah, so you can see that kind of adjusting there. And see the fact that we don't need to adjust this all that much in through here. It's going to be, I think, a little bit more. Yeah, so there. Okay, I'm just checking all these. Yep, so these should all be good here. It's going to be more in this area. No, not quite yet. Alright, there we go. So right about here is where we need to start adjusting it. So that's coming through. Okay, so we'll adjust that one. Might be kind of hard to see in the stream, but it is kind of poking through here. So that's what I'm looking at. Yep, so that's poking through there. And I'm just going to check this apron here. Yep, so you can see it kind of poking through there. So not a lot of adjustment, but a little bit. Okay, a little bit of adjustment there. Okay. Alright, let's check the apron. Yep. You can kind of get the idea. Much the same thing that we already did previously, but it's just bringing that innermost section up. Like so. Okay, let's adjust all these. So I think I might have to adjust the apron here a little bit. Yep, just a touch, not too much. So the fact that I probably won't be able to get exactly the same thing as I had it previously, since I didn't save all that, but yeah. I can get it close, at least. Yep, so that's all peeking through there. So let's adjust this a little bit. Okay. Let me zoom this up just a little bit. There we go. So I can get those both in there. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna move it forward. Yep, so you can see that's bleeding through. I want to keep it slightly under it. I guess if that's something that I failed to mention before. I don't want it to be 100% peeking through there. I want it to be just below. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish there. Okay, so the apron there. Alright. Kind of losing sight of this a little bit, so let me move this over. Like that. Okay, so and this is where it's going to get a little bit tedious here, I think. In fact, now I'm tending to wonder, did I already, did I save that, I guess, with all that adjusted? I didn't think I did. Maybe I did. Huh. Because the fact that I'm not having to adjust it all that much, yeah, I'm tending to wonder. I can't remember. I think I had to move that. Yeah, so it's the fact that I can see this all this way. Yeah. I guess we'll find out once I get to, yeah, I'm thinking I probably did adjust these already. What the heck? Oh, okay. So that was up that high. Right. Okay. Oh. Yep, that looks good so far. Da-da-da. See, in the way I can tell, as far as if I go back, you can see how these are transitioning here. So this one necessarily looks a little low. So I think I might have to bring this up just a little. Yeah, something like that. Alright, so let's see if I can bring this up. Just need a bit, okay. Yeah, something tells me I think I might have had this adjusted when I saved it. I can't remember what I had in that. So let's just, we can just go through this again just to make sure. At least, so yeah, that's where it needs to be there. Let me slide this over. Yeah, so yeah, that is already. So I guess I did save that. Okay, so I guess I did. It didn't hurt to go back over it, I guess, at least anyway. Yep, I guess I did have that all saved then. Okay, so I wasn't sure what I had it at there, so what is going on here? Is this what? Yeah, so this one's not adjusted, so that's at the divide. Hold on a second. Yeah, so these aren't adjusted here, so that's right at the divide. Let me check that in the camera view. Whoop. Clicking on the wrong thing there. Okay, so that's turn 3. Let's go over to the divide here. See what we got going on here. Yeah, see all this waviness in here? I'm going to have to smooth that out. A bunch of dips and depressions in that. Yep. Kind of goofed that up a little bit there, but that's okay. So I'm at this point here. Right, so okay, the fact that there is no, okay, let me see. Where in the heck am I at there? Okay, so I'm at this point. Zoom in on that. I'm right here. Okay, that doesn't have any walls there. That's all open there. Okay, I see. So I left that all relatively flat, which is probably fine. I don't need to do that because that's going to have a 3D model, I guess, to fill that gap. So the fact that I keep this all relatively flat in here, that's probably fine. All through here. Yep, so that's going into the infield there and such. Yeah, I probably don't really need to do all that much to it. Here's where we tend to have the last bit of information, I guess, as far as banking. Right in that section there. And that kind of coincides with what I was talking about, is having it closed in as much as possible as far as your X sections, so you can have that smooth transition into that. So okay, so if I go here, I'm just double checking all this stuff now. I think this is all good to go. I just want to double check. Yeah, this right here on the other side of the divide. Alright, so if I go here, I should be able to just, yeah, there we go. So yeah, we're good there. That's all flat there. So yeah, I guess I did save all that information. I wasn't 100% sure if I did or not. But yeah, that can confirm that. So this obviously is not right. So I need to look at this area. Goof this up here somehow. Alright, let's look at that. That is somewhere. Yeah, looks like it's right about here. You can kind of see that drop off right there. So let's go to here. And let's see what I did there. Yep, so that's still got to come up here. Holy smokes, what's going on there? Okay, so let's go through this here. We gotta get this all up. Man, is this all wavy here? Holy smokes, screwed that all up. See if I can't get that smoothed out. That is bumpy as heck, and I'll probably be able to adjust that a lot more in that cutaway view, so I won't worry myself too much. I just want to make sure that these are all at the proper. Okay, so where are we at there? Yeah, this one still needs to be adjusted. You can kind of see where it's shaded, so it's still got that drop off there. So let me adjust the camera to that. Yeah, right here. You can kind of see where it's dropping off here, so I gotta adjust that yet. Alright, so let's bring this up. There we go. Alright, let's go over to this. So I'll probably have to move. Alright, all this up here. Yeah, so all this I'll probably have to move this up. And I'll probably be able to see better if I look in here. Alright. Oop. Just adjust all these up. These should have to stay relatively level here, I'm thinking, so. Alright, so we'll go to this one. Yep, so I must have saved it prior to, because I remember this one not being collated correctly. Alright, so let's move this up. Yeah, there we go. We'll get this fixed. I was trying to remember what point that I did save that at, to be honest. That was... So yeah, we keep this relatively straight this way. You can kind of see that in that view there, how that's adjusting. Alright, move the next one. So I think we still got... Let's go here. Let's go map back. Ah, for Christ's sake. Alright, so here we go. Move forward. Alright, this is actually pretty good right here. Shouldn't need to adjust that. I'm just looking to see how this transitions here. So we got that there. 5, 6, 6, 6, 7. Okay. Just checking to see how this actually... Okay. That should be pretty good there. There was the one spot on the outside wall. I want to check that. Yeah, that should be pretty decent. Now, look at all this, though. Holy smokes. Damn, holy crap. Alright, let me see if I can adjust these. That'd be pretty bumpy pit road, that's for sure. Alright, let's adjust these back here. Alright, so let's go back. Let me look at the top-down view here. It's gonna be starting about here, I'm thinking. If I look at the start-finish line, which should be, yeah, let's see if that's about it there. Yep, so right about there, so it's adjusting down. I didn't need to adjust all that, so let's get that adjusted back. Alright, so That's good there. Let's move it back. Yep. There we go. So if I look at the transition there, that's good. Bring this back down. There. That's a pretty good transition there. Smooth that back out. And like I said, there you'll probably still be able to, yeah, see it's still got a little bit of waviness here. Let's go back. Yep. You can get really precise in your adjustments in that roller coaster view, as we call it. Alright, so that should be pretty good. Yeah, so we got a lot of the waviness out of that. I'm going to check out, there was some wonkiness in here, and that's right around by the start finish line as well. I'm going to fix this here. So let's go roughly about this area. Go to that camera view, go to height view, and I want to adjust this over here. Whoop, that was close. Let's go to the next one up. Just need to move that down a little bit. There we go. That should work. Just gonna take that wonkiness out of there. And there's probably be some more adjustment to be made yet, but that still should be pretty good. So the fact that we can see, here's where our divide is. We can see that over here. As far as the level with that wall in comparison, so that should be pretty good there. Now, I need to double check and make sure these X sections are still adjusted. This is where we tended to kind of crash here, so I'm going to go ahead, just for the sake of it, I'm going to save this as a new PTF. And I'll just do this as B, just so that we don't have to go through all that again. And I'm going to verify that that's there. And there it be. Good to go. Okay, now, yeah, I want to verify that these innermost sections still have, yeah, so I think we still got to move these up. I think this is where we started. What the heck? Alright, something ain't right. Let's see, where's that? Should be able to see that. Oh, it's over here. Okay, I'm hiding it. That's why I was like, what the heck is going on there? Alright, let me pull it this way. So I'm right here. I thought I was here. I was like, what the heck? Yeah, so you can see that poking through there. So it's kind of like right about to that line on the grid. So if I move this up here, so there we go. So we should be, yeah, we still got to adjust all these over here. Alright, so let me check. Let's go back this way. Yep, so I got to adjust all these up. That's where we finished off there. So I'm realizing now as far as where I saved it last, as far as just before I started doing this. So, alright, so that's where our divide is there. Yep. So we can bring that kind of down like so. That we can probably keep flat. Yeah. Let's move here. Yep, that's there. So let's move, whoops. I'm gonna move this over here. I'm gonna bring this down. There we go. Bring this down. There. Should be good. So we go over that here. Move it forward. Yep. Just double checking it. Yep, that should be all good there. Alright, so at this point, it's just kind of a lot of rechecking here, so I gotta move this up. About that line. Let's bring this apron up. Okay. Yep, so this is where we finished off there. Just gotta get all these up to here. Just the apron where necessary. And we're just looking for that peeking through there is all. And like I said, once I get that other X section applied here, I'll be able to adjust that area between the apron and the grass line a little bit more. The way this is right now is, you know, kind of wonky. So the fact that I can adjust that later on and get that, once I get these all adjusted here, let's get one thing at a time. Don't try to get too far ahead of yourself. Okay. Yep, so all we're doing is just looking to see how it's peeking. The track geometry is just bleeding through the alright, so let's move this around. Move it this way. Yeah, I'm getting to the point, and once I adjust this way, I'm probably going to go ahead and save it again as new PTF, and then just leave it at that. I think that's given enough information. To be perfectly honest, I'm starting to get famished. I'm pretty famished, so I want to get myself some foods in me. Alright, so let's go ahead. Move that forward. There we go. So yeah, once I get all these adjusted here, as far as these innermost X sections, I'm going to leave it at that. And I will save adding the additional X sections, I guess, for next time. That's kind of where I'm at this point. Be it the fact that I'm already into, this would be the 7th episode out of this series. Lots of information though. Okay, so let me adjust this view. Yeah, so you shouldn't have to adjust too much here. Should be pretty good here. See, that's already bleeding through. So as far as that transition, going all the way around here. Whoa, how did I miss this one? Oh, I didn't miss it. That's, holy crap, that's a big difference there. So between this one and that one, holy crap. Alright, let me see here. So that's this section and this one. That's a freaking big difference there, but I think that's probably because it's more of a radius there. This is a little bit narrower. It could be why it's doing that. I'm not sure. So you can see how that's bleeding through there. There's the apron there. But that's pretty sharp here, that's for sure. I'm gonna have to adjust that. As far as the bank on left. For show. That's at 39 degrees. Like, holy crap. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to adjust that. Yeah, let me just leave that as it is for now. So yeah, I'm just noticing, I guess, the difference between this section to that section as far as how flat that is in comparison. So if I adjust this one, you can see how that's already bleeding through. Interesting. Alright, so, and like I said, once I apply, I sound like a broken record, but once I apply that additional X section in here, it's going to make a little bit more adjustability to that, to get more fine-tune that. So, okay, let's move this one. Don't need to move it too much. It's perfectly fine. Alright. Yep, so we should be pretty good down through here. So that... Oh, don't do it! Son of a gun. I think it's doing it to me again. Oh, man. It is. Son of a bitch. It's crashing on me again. Son of a gun. Yep. Seeing, another perfect example. Yeah. You'll deal with this as far as especially dealing with X sections like that. That's what'll happen. So, yeah, I'm not going to go through all that process again. You kind of get the idea as far as why it's important, I guess, to save often. The fact that I did save it as a B, moving forward, at least I won't have to go back all that other stuff. I will just have to focus more or less on this turn 1-2 area. So, yeah. I'm not going to, see, it's crashing on me. And that's what'll happen with this program. The fact that it's done it twice now in this session here, that kind of gives you an idea. So let me go ahead and close that out. It still shows it's actually running, which is funny. But it's clearly crashing. So let's go ahead and close that out. Yep. So I already saved that, like I said, as this one here. So I only have to focus on that that turn 1 and 2 area of the main oval. So that's a little bit of saving grace there. But that's another perfect example as to why you have to save often. Because if you don't want to lose all your work, and the program, be it Sandbox, it kind of forces you to have to do that. But with all that, I think that's a little bit, quite a bit decent information as far as how you can use the LiDAR information, I guess, to apply your elevations, as far as your bankings to your track. And it at least gives you somewhat of an idea of how much more precise you can be with that, as opposed to guessing and just going, like, say, primarily off of the data that it says, applying 24 degrees of banking or whatever. Exactly what the transition on the entrance and the exit of the turn is going down the straight, say, for example. Using that LiDAR, you can have a much better way to apply, I guess, how those transitions are. So, and not just put it at 24 degrees and then just feather it, more or less guessing. You got a much more visual representation of where that elevation needs to be. So, with all that, I think that proves, the LiDAR proves, I guess, to be a very good method to use as far as creating a track. So, I am getting extremely, extremely hungry, and that's probably a good place, I guess, to end it. I definitely hope all those that are necessarily still watching the stream, watching the broadcast, have found the information useful, and we'll definitely still be continuing with this, at least for the next week. Be it the 17th. As far as looking at the calendar, I'll at least do one more stream based on this series, as far as building a track for the week of Thanksgiving. Be it that Saturday following that, I probably will more than likely be taking that. I'll take that off, and just to take care, I guess, take some time off and just enjoy, I guess, the holiday. We'll see how that goes. If things do change, I will let everyone know. But as it sits right now, I intend, I guess, to take a little bit of that time off, just to kind of enjoy that holiday, and get caught up on some things and all that as well. So feel free to keep in touch, I guess, as far as with the other social medias that I have available. You can use those at your disposal, I guess, to keep in touch as far as what I'll be doing in the foreseeable future, to include, I guess, that week of Thanksgiving. I will definitely let everybody know on those channels as far as how that's going to go down. So I'm just looking for a host target. What I'll probably do is just go ahead and end the stream. I appreciate everybody that came over from Cosmin's. Those that came over from Cosmin's stream there, so it's pretty nice. We had James with the prescription. I'm gonna figure that out too. And now that I've been able to revisit that, figure out why it's not showing your name, I guess, down in that. I have to definitely play around with that. So, yeah, that's something I need to do, I guess, in off stream as far as like taking care of that. I want to make sure those that are supporting the channel are recognized as far as like that. I very much appreciate, I guess, that support. It's with those like yourself, the viewers, yourself, that do motivate me and give me the ambition, I guess, to keep doing the streams. And then without having, I guess, those that engage in the streams, there would be no point in me doing this. So I want to definitely make sure that there's some recognition, I guess, for those that do support what I got going on here. So be it in the form of playing games or actually the creative realms here. So definitely appreciate all that, and I'm just gonna put this thing on a host. So yeah, feel free to, I guess, to stick around for the upcoming host once the stream ends, and I definitely want to thank you all for watching.